I'm Teresa. So glad that you can join me this evening, or if you watch it in the replay, welcome, welcome. In any event, glad to be here and glad to have you. So welcome in. We're going to give just a few minutes here to see if some folks join us, and then we'll get started this evening and see where we go in the conversation for tonight. Let me see what's going on over here. Oh, it would be nice if I clean these, huh? I'm super excited. I went ahead, we got started on the introduction to Sitchin's 12th planet. I only covered the prologue yesterday, but I have read the first chapter, and it was pretty eye-opening. One of the things that I really like is how the information that he's showing in that book is not, well, it's like I said before, the information that I saw in the Lost Book of Enki did not contradict the Bible. It actually is helping enforce it. But one of the things that he saw in the 12th planet, or he mentions in the 12th planet, is something I saw or noticed in the Lost Book too, when he's talking about how archaeology doesn't show a missing link or a smooth progression of evolution. It's like they found Cro-Magnon man and Australopithecus and all the rest of that, and then boom, all of a sudden there's leaps ahead into Homo sapiens. But yet, even after that, first man appears, and then instead of continuing to advance forward, it seems to be a regression where society or civilization started regressing again. And isn't that exactly what Enki said happened when he had to go back in and mate with dawn and dusk to produce Adapa and Titi, which were the first civilized humans? Adam and Eve's line was devolving, and so far the ancient artifacts that they're finding that correlate back to that time period supports that civilization was not advancing, it was declining. And then all of a sudden, boom, about, I think you said 11,000 years ago or something, it sharply started on an uptick again. So it really, really lends more to those texts being true than not. And I really, really find that fascinating. So I'm definitely going to get more into it. I can't read that entire book because it's over 400 pages. So I'm not going to be doing a verbatim reading of it on the channel, but I will read the first chapter, and I'll get that video out a little bit later today. We got some folks coming in here in the room. Hey, Dragal, how are you? And hey, Radio Demon, how are you? Hey, but Tuba Natalie, hi. Welcome in, welcome in. Hi, Alfie, how are you? Good to have you in here this evening. Holding space, welcome, welcome. Hey, Brittany, how are you? Welcome in, Ma. Welcome, welcome. I know I hadn't been here in a few days. I've been still working on personal private readings and stuff, trying to get caught up. I am starting in on the 12th planet. That was really pretty good, too. I'm doing pretty well this evening, Radio Demon. I thought I was going to get some tarot done earlier, but I have been, but it's all been private personal readings for other people. I thought I was going to get some live stream tarot in, and that didn't happen today, but I'm diligently trying to get through my backlog of personals so that I can get back to attending to the live stream readings. I am going to do another tarot for the collective for Lionsgate, though, for sure. I am. I'm having a great day. I hope you are as well. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you. Yep. Hey, every day is a slay day. Like I say, any day you're looking at flowers instead of roots, it's a beautiful day. Slay. Hey, BM, how are you? Welcome in. Welcome in. Hey, Kokosi, how are you? Unfortunately, I can't read whatever that language is. Is that Korean? I'm not sure, but I can't read it in any event. But we'll definitely welcome in. I wish I knew another language. I feel I'm at least as smart as the average bear, but I do not seem to have an affinity for languages. Maybe it's I was right. Awesome. Hey, at least I could recognize what it is. I can't read it, but I kind of thought it might be Korean. Namaste to you and welcome, Helder. Welcome. Hey, Aaliyah. Welcome in. Awesome. I am so glad to see everybody coming in. I hope you all are doing well as well. I really didn't have a plan for today. I just wanted to jump in and we can have some kind of a spiritual conversation. Like I said, I'm kind of pumped from starting to read the 12th planet here. It's a lot to kind of have an open forum with right now if you're not really familiar with the material. But yeah. Hey, Sinetti. Bonjour. Welcome, welcome. Thank you, Kokosi. I hope you have a wonderful day as well, my dear. Thank you for stopping by. It is pretty late over in your part of the world, so I get that part. Or actually, it's early in the morning, but yeah. No, Bentley, I am not. I used to be Christian. I was born and raised in a very, very strict Christian religious household, and there were a lot of questions that I had. I mean, I was one of those people, my parents, I was taught to read from the Bible by the age of 3. So I've been reading the Bible intensely my whole life, but there was a lot of things in there that I had a disconnect with and I wanted answers. And when I got bold enough to not only read the church approved material, but started reading other academic and other theological and spiritual text, I got an opportunity to see why I had that disconnect. And the more I learned about the nature of the God of the Bible, I had to step away from it. I do love Yeshua, don't get me wrong, but no, I'm not Christian anymore. Hi, Kaj. Honestly, Protestant is basically the same thing, unfortunately. If you are still worshiping Yahweh, because Christianity ain't truly about Christ either. All of the Abrahamic religions are about serving Yahweh Jehovah. And if you're still serving Yahweh Jehovah, it's all the same. It really is. Hi, good to have you in, Andre. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, exactly. And I did the same thing when I was searching. I was born and raised Jehovah's Witness, and I just thought, well, maybe it's just something wrong with their religion because they catch a lot of flack. So, and I'm still grateful because they are very sincere about getting into that Bible study. They do understand their Bible. I ain't gonna, I can't give them nothing, take nothing from them from that. Um, but then I got out there and I looked at several other sects of Christianity. I got baptized in the Baptist church too. So I've been baptized twice under Yahwistic religions, but I wanted to know the nature of God. And the more I got into meditation and really started looking around and started studying with an open mind and a seeking heart, I had to let Christianity go. Yahweh is not what people think he is. Yahweh, truth, here's the part, and this is going to sound crazy. Hey, Dominic, I'm glad that you did like and subscribe. I wish we could get some more likes up in here. That's good, Helder. That's good. Now, I'm going to say something that's probably going to piss off most of the people that's in here if you lean towards any of the Abrahamic religions, whether it's Judaism, Christianity, or Islam. The really ironic part about all of those religions or all of those sacred texts that most people do not understand, and this is the part that got to me the most. People don't understand that the scriptures, all of the sacred texts, have absolutely flipped the script on us. The part that they don't tell you in this book, when they took most of the names out of it, by every time you see God in here or Lord God, God, Lord, Lord God, it should most likely be Elohim or El Shaddai. None of those terms are singular. It does not mean God, it means powerful ones. They took these ancient texts from the Anunnaki and the Sumerian texts. And those texts were not discussing an invisible Alpha Omega Sky Daddy. Those were historical accounts of astronauts who came from Nibiru and came here and dared to play God. They lied and told us they were gods. They're not God. And that prime one that's mentioned in here, Yahweh, Allah, Jehovah, it's the same character that we see in Genesis that's called Satan the devil. That's the part that humanity has been completely hoodwinked and bamboozled about and by. They got when this scripture says the whole world is lying in the power of the wicked one, they ain't lying. Because thanks to Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, they literally have 75% of the world worshiping the devil. And they don't even know it. Hey, Antoine, good to have you in here. I ain't even see you come in, brother. Welcome, welcome. Where you? I still don't see you. I don't know how in the world. Oh, there you go. Okay. Hey, the Flash Club and Liz Malik. Hey, Astro Wales, good to have you in here. Honestly, I wouldn't mind. I do use some Hindu and Vedic mantras and stuff. I'm just, when I stepped out of religion, I stepped out of a lot of the ritual and pomp and circumstance. I get a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit here from everything. If I were going to actually align with a philosophy all the way, it would probably be Buddhism or Taoism, but those aren't even truly religions. I just, like I said, after having the religiosity of Christianity poured over me for so long, I just stepped all the way out. I have respect, great respect for Hinduism, but they got too many deities for me. I'm real narrow in my focus these days. I'm pretty much looking at Shiva or Enki, Yeshua, and Thoth. Those are my main guides that I deal with. I don't have the time to learn all of a bajillion deities and all the rest of that. So thank you, Damian Fitch. Hey, Christy. I ain't forgot about you, Mom. I'm still working on working on personals. I found some more and I have missed some emails some kind of way, but I am working on them, so I haven't forgotten about you. Hey Ben, welcome in. Hey Peter Grandison. Who is Yeshua? In my opinion, Yeshua is the second incarnation of Thoth or Ningirjita, who is the son of Lord Enki, our primary progenitor of the human race as we know it. The scriptures have us worshiping his brother Enlil, but Enlil did not put anything into the human story other than insisting that we be lied to and told that they're gods even though they're not. And yeah, he is an ascended master. He absolutely is an ascended master. But that's what I'm saying. He's not what Christianity portrays him to be, because they tell that lie that he's Yahweh's son and Yahweh loved him so much that he allowed him to be killed and that's for our benefit, blah 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 blah. Nah. They did unalive him, but that wasn't for our benefit. That's because they didn't want that beautiful prophet and ascended master telling them the truth. He came here to free humanity from the lie of Judaism and the new religion that they were rolling out on the planet, namely Christianity. So they used him as a mascot. They unalived him and then laced him in the middle of this lie as a mascot to propel their story onto the rest of the planet. Hey, Cassandra Thomas, how are you? And hey, Deanna Thomas, how are you? Hey, Jessica, how are you, my love? Welcome in, welcome in. And honestly, Helder, I did several videos now. I think when we got to we were in the compendium of the Emerald Tablets around tablet 2 or 3, when we were having that discussion, it was like the light bulb came on profoundly for me in another way. And I did a couple of videos discussing the Emerald Tablets and kind of looking at that next to the Gospel of John, and it becomes really clear there that most likely Yeshua is the son of Lord Enki, and very well may be Thoth. You've been feeling funny, honey. We in Lionsgate. I know you feel you might. I'm surprised you. I'd be very surprised if you weren't feeling funny. Peter Grandison, that resurrection story is, again, that is it's a story that was placed in there for religious purposes because they didn't actually kill him. He's a great yogi, and yogis know how to go into that samadhi state and slow their functions down till they appear unalive. If you read the biblical account, they did not run him through with the sword like they were supposed to. They did not break his legs like they normally would have done during that type of impaling. And in the scriptures, when the women went into the tomb to tend to his body, those were not embalming herbs they took in there as if they were dressing an unalive body. They took healing herbs into the tomb. So they didn't actually unalive him. Some historians think that Yeshua lived to the age of 48, and there are some that have him living up to the age of 80 with children. He left Jerusalem for sure, though they know that after all of that stuff happened and it got too hot for him to stay in Jerusalem or in Israel, period, he left back through the Silk Road and headed back into the east. In either, I can't remember if it's in Turkey or I think it's in Pakistan, there is a shrine to Mother Mary. She passed away somewhere on the trek back through the Silk Road after the so-called crucifixion. He did not die during that event. Brittany, yeah, that's why I said I feel so bad because I thought I was just gonna knock out all those personal readings and get back to it and go back in and do the live stream and woo, woo, woo. No, it ain't been like that. Time has been all jacked up for me too. It's like I have every intention of getting up super early in the morning and being oh so productive and blah blah. And what, no matter what happens and what I intend to do, somehow I don't manage to make it downstairs till about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then the next thing I know, I look up and it's like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. What's happening with the time? And yeah, I've been feeling kind of weird too. In some aspects, I was feeling better. My knees actually felt better for the past couple of days than they have in the past couple of months. But then this morning, it was kind of, yeah. Enki is like I said, our primary progenitor and benefactor. He is one of the two brothers, Yahweh, Allah, Jehovah. His original name was Enlil, Enlil. His brother is Enki, Enki. When they first came here, Enlil is the warrior, the commando, the greedy, selfish, gotta have servitude, all of the rest of that, blah, blah, blah. Enki is the scientist. He's the one that actually went in the laboratory with Isis and with Thoth and modified the hominid that they found out there and created Homo sapiens sapiens, us. Excuse me. And he's the one that gave us our astronomy, astrology, mapped out our waters, taught us basic agriculture, math, our science, laid down our philosophy, and our first mystical schools. All of that we can attribute to Lord Enki. And again, the Enkiite philosophies or ways of being, they spread into the East. So we have Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Taoism, Shinto, all of those type religions and philosophies come from Lord Enki, the more peaceful, self-empowering philosophies. Enlil, on the other hand, did this whole, he, like I said, he did a whole lot of name changes, but everywhere he went on the planet, he brought death, destruction, greed, murder, and mayhem. Hey, Crowley, good to have you in here. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, man, honestly, Brittany, for anybody, hey, P. Vader, I didn't even see you. And Blizzard, I guess I can be. I don't know. I used to be. They used to call me my Dukes. I had all the little neighborhood kids when my kids were younger. My kids are all grown now, but I can be TT or auntie or mama or something. You stick around here because I'm gonna give it to you like it is. I don't have no choice anymore. And the older I get, the freer my mouth get. I'm tired of just sitting on whatever everybody else said. I just tell it like it TI is. But yeah, excuse me. Anybody that's struggling with their energy levels and just not fit, lean into it as much as you can. Don't try to fight it because honestly, we are going through some very intense planetary alignments, conjunctions. We got Kazimis and T's. And like I said, I'm not super up on astrology right now. I would highly recommend if you're into that kind of stuff. K Moon usually talks about the stuff that's happening as far that channel, the letter K and Moon. She almost always does an upload in and around whatever astrological events are happening. There's another tarot channel that actually, in her readings in the mornings, she talks a lot about it. That is Soulful Revolution. Her uploads go up like 7 o'clock every morning. I call her the Good Morning America of the tarot world. She actually used to be a producer on the Good Morning America show. So when she started doing tarot, she treats it kind of like that, but she is really into the planetary events and the astrology and stuff in a way that's kind of understandable. And her readings be so bomb anyway too. So definitely Soulful, Soulful Revolution. Her name is Mary Jo. Your crown chakra is throbbing. Wow. Yeah. I don't doubt. Make sure you're doing your breath work, your grounding work. Be up on that grounding. Get in them salt baths. And if your crown is throbbing like that, when you go outside and put your feet on the ground and do that work, if you can, you might even want to put some crystals, whatever you move to, but think about putting some crystals on your crown for a little while you're doing that. Maybe some selenite to kind of clear that space for you, as well as maybe some amethyst or moonstone, what have you, to help open it up. Your soul star might be trying to activate as well. Hey Arjun, how are you? Thank you, Crowley. Hey, like I said, it is what it is. What you see is what you get. I'm not a great actress, so I don't have no choice but to be for real because it is what it is. And eventually, I'm not asking nobody for nothing right now, but eventually I'm going to be asking my soul tribe to dig a little deep. We're going to do some crowdfunding projects when we get enough of us in here to actually make a difference and move towards some of the things that Spirit has put in my heart to do. Oh, we're going to do some big things. So I have to remain trustworthy and all the rest of that good stuff. So yeah. Hey Lauren, how are you? Peace. Welcome in. Brittany and Lauren, I gotta ask you, because I don't remember, did I do readings for either of y'all? And if you want me to do them, I went back through, I think I didn't erase any of my emails or anything. I didn't delete anything, but I didn't see emails for y'all. So if you still want a free reading while I'm still trying to get caught up on them, make sure that you email me and let me know so that I can get those taken care of. That's for anybody that is okay. Well, you know what? Since I remembered though, the energy is weird and it's taking me a lot longer to do them than I had thought because I'm just taking my time with them so that my energy stays right. But I'll put you on the list, my love. And same thing, Antoine, anybody that is a mod, I have not removed any mods. So if you've been, even if it was just a mod for one, email me if you want the reading and I'll go ahead. I think I got about 4 or 5 left, but I'm gonna go ahead. Again, I've been trying to get up early and get with them, but I am still working on them. I hope to have them all done by this weekend though, because I want to get back on an even keel. This is my gig. So at some point, I'm gonna have to get back to actually doing it for a contribution. But I do want to get those out of the way while I'm at it because y'all, look, I can't do what I do without you as mods. So don't feel bad about you not burdening me. I'm appreciating what you do for me, and I'm more than happy to take a good look at what's going on in your situations, and or bring you a words of encouragement from spirit, that I'm honored to do that. So yeah, just email me if you want it. Hey Amasia, how are you? Welcome in, welcome in. Yeah, email me, baby. And I appreciate you, my love. You have no idea. Look, y'all helped me get to we're sitting on almost 3,000 now, and we were at what I hit. What was it? 500. I was pushing, and we hit 500 on June 30th, and now we're sitting on almost 3,000. Like really. Excuse me. And when I'm doing the uploads, they're not getting that many views yet. But my thing is, by hitting the algorithm, it's getting out there around the world. Like I said, we got people from Korea in the house. I mean, having people from Norway in the house, all over the place. And it's important because of this message. Yeah, it'll be nice when it starts paying me, but I'm not in it for the money. That will come because that is my spiritual right for doing the work for Lord Inky. But the first part is putting the skin in the game to just get out there so that people can hear this message, because that's what's important. If I don't never get a dime out of YouTube, it's important for people to hear this message. Catherine, no, I don't believe that the Bible is all false. No, quite the opposite. I believe that the Bible is mostly true. It's just that the way it's been manipulated and the way they're choosing to interpret it and use it that is false within religion. People don't understand when we read Genesis, or in fact, all of the Bible, we're told that this is thus saith the Lord, that all scripture is inspired of God and beneficial for teaching, reproving, and setting things straight. That's what Paul said anyway. I think that's in Galatians, Ephesians, somewhere over there. Right. And we can't add or take anything away. That's what they tell us. Hey, Raquel. But the truth of the matter is, they've been adding and taking away from this book ever since they dug all of these up out the ground. This is not one continuous, contiguous texts. This is the result of hundreds of years of archaeological works, and they went and cherry picked through a handful of them and came up with the first half, the Old Testament of the Bible, and then Emperor Constantine and all the rest of them cats got together with this Paul cat and took from Matthew on out through the rest of the door. They wrote those other books after the fact and then put all of this together and said that this is the inspired word of God and this is what we're going to do. This was a vehicle to launch Yahwism in the aka Christianity. It was the newest phase of Yahwism onto the planet. The Jews were the only ones that were worshiping Yahweh up until Matthew. Back then, it was a whole lot of other Elohim on the planet. People were still worshiping Enki, they were still worshiping Thoth, they were still worshiping Inanna, they were still worshiping Ninurta, they were still worshiping Sin, they were still worshiping a whole lot of the other ancient Elohim or gods. And then Yahweh lured Abram out into the desert and sold him on this notion that he's going to be, his champion, and he's going to give him a son in his old age, and he's going to make his name a mighty people. And it took him a while to do it, and a whole lot of killing up of a bunch of people and a bunch of lying and subterfuge and about 500 years of slavery and all of that stuff that happened in between. But by the time he got through hanging with Abram and then later on Moses, he convinced the nation of Israel to become exclusive worshipers of him. And that's when Yahwism began to take over the rest of the world. That was Enlil, one of the old gods, old Elohim, right along with Enki and Marduk and Ninurta and Inanna and Ishtar and Dumuzi. Well, Dumuzi died, but that's neither here nor there. You know what I'm saying? These were the cats that got off the spaceship from Nibiru and plopped down here because they needed to dig some gold to save their planet, and they couldn't dig it up fast enough, so they found a hominid on here somewhere in our evolutionary cycle. They had the technological know-how to speed up our evolutionary cycle by infusing their DNA with our DNA, and they wound up jumping us up way past Australopithecus. We landed at Homo sapiens, and then they put a worship gene in us to make us worship them and told us that they are gods. And because of a lot of special effects and flashbang whatever in our primitive nature at that time, you think about it. Right now, if you was to take your little iPhones and your little tablets and oh Lord, the Apple, get you an Apple Watch and an iPhone and some Bluetooth earbuds, and if you was to travel back in time 3,000 years and whip out your iPhone and your Apple Watch and your earbuds, don't you think that somebody might think you was a god? And if you lie to those people and tell them you're a god because you got all of this flashy technology, they might believe you. But that don't mean we have to keep believing it because we know better now, right? That part. The Ethiopian Bible does have many more books, but unfortunately the Ethiopians are still lost too, because they still trying to make Yahweh be the only true God. He ain't never been the only God, and he ain't never been true. He's the one they call Satan the devil in the Bible. That's the real irony of all of Christianity. They swear up and down that the devil is so evil and everything we do is in fear of displeasing God and worshiping the devil, and they don't even understand that worshiping that particular God is worshiping the devil. Yeshua tried to tell them that, and they unalived him for it. And even today, when you come back and read it, it's right there in plain print. And every time I read that scripture, one of them do-gooder, ultra pious Christians come and tell me that I'm not reading it right. I can read. And you heard what I said. I didn't manipulate the scripture. I read it directly. Well, that's not what it means, because they don't want to accept what it means, but it still say what it say. Yeshua told them that the God they was worshiping is the devil. Hey, Cesar, how are you? Welcome in, welcome in. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing great. Hey, Raquel, I'm doing great. Thank you, though. So, yeah. Oh, absolutely, Lauren. That's why, like I said, I have to keep talking because there's plenty of folks that haven't heard it before. And all it takes is that one person that needs to hear it. And they're going to tell somebody who's going to tell somebody who's going to tell somebody. We've got to wake up. We cannot stay under the lies that we've been living under for the past 2,500 years. Humanity has been led lost for literally 2,500 years now. And it's time for it to stop. Yeshua gave us a hint, or actually, I don't even believe it was Yeshua that did it, because, like I said, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, if you read those accounts, they're almost verbatim in their Last Supper stories. And when that happens, that tells me that that information is not really what actually happened. There's no way that three separate authors who waited almost 100 years after the event actually happened to even decide to write about it, and then they sat down and wrote about it, and all three of them came up with an account that was exactly the same word for word. But what is important about that story is all three of them say that Yeshua told them to go to the gate, and the man with the man with the water pitcher would show the way. The water bearer is Aquarius, and Lord Enki represents the quintessential Aquarius. And we're right here at the gateway, or in the age of Aquarius. And he said that he would send Holy Spirit to us in that day, in the last days, that he will return. He did say he would go and prepare a place for us. His Father's house had many abodes. He'd prepare a place for us. He didn't promise us he would come back physically, but there's an indication that Christ consciousness has become very active in over the planet in the past 150 years or so. So it's kind of obvious that he is back, that Holy Spirit is active, the Christ consciousness grid is in full effect. A lot of the information that had been hidden and held in the East for thousands and thousands and thousands of years is now spilling into the West. Didn't nobody know about Buddhism and Chinese medicine and Ayurveda and meditation and Qigong and Tai Chi and all of the things that are commonplace in the West now? All of that information had been very, very carefully kept out of the rest of the world for thousands of years. And then all of a sudden, about 150 years ago, it started spilling forth onto the planet, right in time to march us into the age of Aquarius. And I find that very interesting. Hey, warrior above, within, without. I'm doing very well, my dear. I've been missing y'all too. Hey, Robin Williams Daniels and Alden Thompson. Hey, welcome, welcome. Yeah, oh, Brittany, I absolutely think that some of them will, well, hey, yeah, warrior, that welcome in. Thank you so much, and hi to you too. As far as whether they're going to come back and interact with us, hey, Robin Williams Daniels, welcome in, and hey to you too. Thank you so much for joining us today. Whether they will come back and interact with us physically, maybe. I honestly think what's going to interact with us physically, though, is not the old gods. I don't think we're going to necessarily. Well, wait a minute, though, now. I got to correct myself. Oh, I'm glad, Miss Harriet. I'm so glad. I think it's going to be a lot of it's going to be telepathically or in the astral through our dream state in our I know in the meditation space, because that's how I got hooked up with Lord Inky. I don't see apparitions or anything like that, but I became clairaudiently linked with Yeshua, and then I was introduced to Lord Inky. So I don't know, because Lord Inky is on a whole different type of spiritual time than even some of the others. He is the dweller in the Emerald Tablets. He and Thoth were on that spiritual ascension thing. Now, Isis and all the rest of them said that they would stay with us until our consciousness expands, until we are free of this binding trap that Enlil has put over us, that they're not going to leave us, but they didn't say it would be in the physical. Now, we're going to have full disclosure, I hope, within the next 5 to 10 years, but it will probably be delegations of people from other star systems and stuff, not necessarily the original 30 and 2, because they say, according to the Emerald Tablets, they could not go back to Nibiru, but they're holding it down energetically somewhere on this planet in stasis. They are in their Aguanti state, but they are still serving humanity, even though they're not freely walking amongst us. But we kind of a big deal. Spaceships have been, people been coming from all over the cosmos to see us ever since they did that. They jumped the evolutionary timeline. They came here and messed with God's creation to create something new onto the planet that's never been done. None of the rest of them out there chose to go and mess with the creator of all's design and go and retrofit a whole new species onto a planet. Normally, they just let things progress naturally. We are kind of a big deal. We are the newest life, sentient life form in this galaxy, anyway, and maybe in the cosmos. You about to get out of here, great legend. I got a thing on there about trolls and all of that. I'm not even going to engage with you any further than that. You'll be gone. I'm good, Chloe. How are you? How are you? Be very careful, Lucky Seven, because my mods don't play up in here. You can stay and be respectful. You can stay and disagree. But what you will not do is come in here and try to take over or be disrespectful. Hey, KT, I have studied some theology as well, Ahmed. Not formally. I have not gone to seminary, but I have had a whole lot of very interesting conversations with formerly seminary trained priests and preachers, and they have all confirmed to me that what I'm saying is on the money. They are taught that in seminary. They're just taught not to teach the people lest they confuse them, or like I said, lest people actually learn the truth. It is the misleading or the miseducation of humanity, so to speak, is very intentional by the powers that were. The scriptures even tell us we war not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities. I don't know why people don't believe that that's real. It is. They have intentionally misled us. Ooh, he must have been really bad. He got the 86,000 second timeout. Ooh, I didn't even see what all he said, but it's all good. I'm glad I didn't see it because we're not bringing that energy here. Like I said, I did a video, got that all off my chest, and yeah, we good. Good morning, Haki. Welcome, welcome. You said good morning, so you got to be on the other side of the world. You about 14 hours time difference away. But yeah, Lauren, I really do think that we will have some kind of discourse, communion. Well, in Revelation 21, it tells us that that other Elohim is going to, who is misleading us, Ahmed? The religious leaders and the politicians on this planet, powered by Lord Enlil Yahweh Jehovah. I'm not stuttering, and it's right there for you to see. The first place that they did was by turning around and taking all the other Elohim out the Bible and trying to make us believe that this book is only about one God. It's not. It never was. All up from Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, and all that. During that portion of history, there were many Elohim or powerful ones on the earth. Yahweh was only one of them, and he wasn't even the most powerful one. He wanted to take claim and for all the power, all the worship, all the glory, him and Marduk. But him and Marduk were here. His brother Enki was here. Thoth was here. Ishtar was here. All of them were still here, and people were worshiping them. They didn't get, like I said, Abram chose to worship Yahweh exclusively and then roped the nation of Israel into it. Well, truthfully, not even then. Abram didn't, because they were still worshiping other gods by the time they got to Moses. Moses is the one that roped the nation of Israel into choosing to serve Yahweh exclusively. And by the time they made that decision, I know they regretted it, because literally a couple of days after they made that decision, he said he got mad at them and said he was going to kill the entire nation because they made him mad. And in order to stop him from killing the entire nation at the foot of Mount Sinai, the Levitical priests turned around and killed 3,000 of the nation of Israel in one night to appease that bloodthirsty God they chose to serve. That's the same God that y'all praying to this day. He's a bloodthirsty misogynist. He's a rapist. If you read the Lost Book of Enki, his wife Nenlil, he literally raped her. And the only reason he got away with it, like talking about it, is because she turned around and forgave him and agreed to marry him. But that's one of the reasons why we see grape mentioned several times in the quote unquote Old Testament with very little consequences to the people that did it. They just gloss over it like it ain't that big of a deal, because it ain't that big of a deal to the God of the Bible. We are being misled everywhere within this religion. Yes, Elohim is plural, and it does not mean God. It means powerful ones. He said there's no other God but him. But here's the thing, Robin Williams Daniels. Good night, Zach De Bruin. If there was truly no other gods other than him, why would he have to announce it repeatedly? And then if there was no other gods other than him, why would Joshua and Caleb say, choose this day whom you will serve? But as for me and my household, we'll serve Yahweh. If there wasn't no other gods out there to serve other than Yahweh, that would have made Joshua and Caleb sound pretty stupid, don't you think? Who was they building the golden calf to if there wasn't any other gods? That was why he threatened to kill them, because he left them out there for so long. They thought he had abandoned them. So they wanted to go back and pray to the God they had just been worshiping a few days ago. And they turned around and, yeah. I have no idea what you're talking about, but if it's anything rude, you might want to retract that comment, double O, whoever you are, because if the Mars look it up and find out it's anything disgusting, they will delete you up out of here. I can do personal readings, but not for $20. My minimum personal reading is $22.22. Oh yeah. We honestly, because that was the thing that always got me. Even when it came down to, like I said, I get it now that I've studied more and understand this. I do understand that our morality is a little bit different than theirs. They say we're made in their image, but there's some stuff that they did that we still frown on to this day, because the human genome doesn't tolerate it very well. For example, that whole Cain and Abel, where did he get his wife from? But like I say, it's not that big of a deal for them. Enki and Enlil, two brothers by the same father, different mothers, each fathered a child with their sister, same father, by another mother. So Anu had at least 3 baby mamas, and all of his children lay with each other and produce children together. And that wasn't a big deal for them. Grape was not a big deal for Enlil. Oh yeah. It was about many gods, and but the one thing, and that's one of the reasons. And no, I don't know who Ra Horakti is. Amun Ra is Marduk, but I have no idea. Let me write that down though, so I can look it up later. I would imagine it's some kind of a teacher. I do write down stuff and go back and kind of check it out later. Let me see. Ra Horakti. Okay. Exactly. Trusting God, absolutely. The Gnostics understood that. I don't dig deeply into Gnostic teaching here on the channel because it can be very confusing. It gets out there. But yes, one of Yahweh Enlil's names, if you will, under the Gnosis is Yaldabaoth, a dragon. And he even told Abram he was El Elyon, the destroyer. Yahweh ain't nothing nice, never has been, ain't never had no love whatsoever for humanity, has always thought that we were very little, we were not much different than animals. That's one of the reasons I can say with all its certainty that the vast majority of our Anunnaki DNA and roots come from Enki and Thoth, because Enki did have love for us, and he was a bit of a horn dog, so he did quite a bit of mating amongst humans, not only because he was a horn dog, but he saw that our genome was devolving under the Adamic line. And like I said, anthropology, I started looking at that in the first chapter of the 12th planet. It talks about how how Adam and Eve's lineage was beginning to devolve, and that's what the Lost Book of Enki says also. But then he turned around and made it with Dawn and Dusk to create Adapa and Titi, and there were others too. Like I said, if you read Genesis chapter 5, every one of those beings that's named in there is a hybrid. Kenan and Methuselah and Enoch and Noah, all of those. Like I said, Genesis is the genes of Isis, but it's also the exploits of Enki, because chapter 5, I didn't read all of the other surrounding chapters to see how long it continues, but almost all of the beings that are named in Genesis chapter 5 also are named in the lost book of Enki. And that book is thousands and thousands and thousands of years older than the text from Genesis. You said you believe during the time Jesus was missing in the Bible that he went to all the dimensions to learn. Maybe. I'm sure he did a lot of meditation, but it's also said that he went to India and studied under Babaji. He went into the Himalayas and studied with the Tibetan monks, and he spent years. The tour of the pyramids, it's a mystical school thing, according to what we can, dig up, or the information that we understand. But it started, the first pyramid in the path of initiation would have been down somewhere around Ethiopia. And I don't remember which gods were which deities were with which pyramids, but it would have been like, for example, maybe one was the temple of Nephthys, and somebody else would have been the temple of Sekhmet and Bast, and on and on and on. But they would have gone. Each student would go through periods of study and initiation in those temples or pyramids, and then they would travel on to the next one. And so, if a student made it through all of them, it would still be most likely a minimum of 7 to 10 years, even if they were an excellent student, because they would have to go through a period of learning and a period of initiation, and then travel to the next temple and start all over again. So it was like going through a spiritual university system, if you will, and they would end up at the Grand Pyramid in Giza. And that is where they would receive their sabu, or light body. What we see in the Egyptian hieroglyphs, when they show the headband with the cobra sticking out of it, that's an indication of the high initiate who has received their light body. Now we see that in European artwork as the halo. But yeah. Trust in God, absolutely, he was the adversary, and he's proven himself to be the adversary. That's why I say the biggest bamboozling or hoodwinking or what have you was the fact that they turned around but Yahweh did a lot of that hiding under his brother's attributes, or hiding under other deities' attributes and stuff, to try to make himself appear to be light when he wasn't. And his greatest trick was that disappearing act, when he flipped the script to make people believe he was something other than the Satan and devil that he actually is, to try to make himself appear to be something good. With the golden calf, but you also have to remember Taurus the bull, Ahmed, again. And hi Shub, how are you? There's some symbology there too. The scripture also has mystic teachings and things outlined in it. Moses was the keeper, or the mascot, if you will, of the zodiacal age of Taurus. Yes. And with the symbolism of the minotaur, or the bull, that also goes back to Marduk worship. Marduk basically wound up coming back into that bull type worship. So that's why I said the nation of Israel was not worshiping Yahweh. They were a nomadic tribe, nomadic peoples who had been roaming around. They had been captured by Egypt and were enslaved in Egypt, but they were not worshiping Yahweh. When he said, "Let my people go," they was only going to be his people because he was going to free them in exchange for them agreeing to serve him. He was displaced. He had no land and he had no people. He was a quote unquote God, an Elohim, who had been exiled for acting an ass. And when he came out of exile, he had no land and no people. So he had to go about getting him one. So he went and said he would rescue the Israelites, since he had promised to make them a mighty nation 500 years before, and never fulfilled that promise. And he had promised them to deliver them to the land of Canaan 500 years before, and never fulfilled that promise. He went back and found them and said, Moses, I want you to put your life on the line. I know you just left Egypt. You on the run from the Pharaoh because you done killed one of his guards. But I want you to go back in there and get in his face, and with your whole chest, I want you to tell him, let my people go. But are they your people yet? No. They gonna be my, because when I get them up out of there, they're gonna be so grateful that I released them from slavery, that they're gonna be my people. And he put Moses up to doing that. The nation of Israel was not worshiping him at that point. All of that, the Passover meal and all that other stuff, that was the beginning of them getting lap tied to Yahweh. He had to give them instructions on how to do the Passover meal. They didn't know. And he gave them great instructions, killing the thing and killing the lamb and putting the blood on the door and the bitter greens, and had to eat with the sandals and ready to roll, because he was going to come through and kill up all of the firstborn, and they had to be ready to hurry up and get out of there. That's what Passover meant. The angel of death passed over their houses because they marked their doors with blood. Exactly, Lauren. No land, no people, no power, no influence. So he had to get back in the game by going and hijacking him a people. And then he still mistreated them and threatened to kill them all because they pissed him off right out the gate. Hey, Storytime Kitchen, how are you? Welcome in, welcome in. Glad to have you. Absolutely, Miss Harriet. I'm honestly, that's why I said people. I realize, like, when I'm starting to read Zechariah Sitchin, and like Billy Carson gets super technical, Sitchin gets super technical in here, but I'm willing to go through it. But I realize he was very uniquely suited to be the one who was blessed with access to those texts to be able to translate them. And I'm beginning to see that in that same vein, I am very uniquely suited to be one that was led to a lot of this information, to be able to read it and process it and kind of give you all the Cliff Notes version of it. Um, I used to call myself the nerdy esoteric librarian because I realized this is a lot of stuff that, 20, 30 years ago, wasn't nobody trying to dig into all of this stuff. And I didn't even want to then. But when I really got into meditation and started understanding the significance of some of this stuff and realizing the importance of it, it clicked for me in a different way. That just, I got real hungry for it then, because I understand it's important for humanity. And because I love Yeshua so much, and he's put it on my heart, he's like, you linked with me now. I know you hear me. You can't act like you don't hear me, because I done sat here on this porch in meditation and heard you hear me. I know you hear me. You're going to go and you're going to pick up where I left off. You got to keep saying what I was saying. I'm not here with a physical body anymore to say it, but I'm coming to plenty of y'all on this planet that are able to hear me. And damn it, you're going to speak. Let me see. Honestly, it's Lauren, I'm happy that it's connecting with you, because that's my thing. I didn't want to be stuffy. I can't just sit here and just read. Y'all will be done fell asleep by the time I get through half of this. And again, that's no shade on Sitchin. He wanted to get into all of these details and all of this stuff. He put a whole lot of info on top of this stuff because he wanted people to know he wasn't just talking out the side of his neck. That was the reason why he included so much stuff. But I'm grateful that he did, because now I don't have to go all over the place trying to dig for all the details and the points and the this and the that. I trust that he's very serious about his work. So we can just read this, break it down, have the conversation, and see it. Yeah. Bro 100, you say you're But again, different people are connecting with different energies. There's a lot of folks out there that's all tapped into Archangel Michael. Some folks are super tapped into Raphael. Some are super tapped into um, Metatron. And I mean, I kind of deal with all of them to some degree. Some are finding spirit through the Orishas and through the Loas or whatever. This information will meet us where we can process it and understand it. Spirit can only translate through the lens of the person. Their life experience is what they're familiar with. If a person grew up in a part of the world that they're more familiar with, the Orishas and the Ifa or Yoruban pantheon, so to speak, it wouldn't do any good for them to show up somewhere as Loki or Odin or nothing else. So they've got to meet that person where they are. Antoine is plugged in with the Buddhas, and we can all learn from each other because truthfully, it's the A team and the B team. And like I said, as far as I'm concerned, Enki, Yeshua, Buddhas, all of them, that's the A team. They're literally, it's like it has become divided. The scriptures tell us that this is an issue of the whole principle of the book here in Christianity is the sovereignty of Jehovah versus the devil. That's what's told here to us. That's the whole premise of Christianity is this good versus evil, Jehovah versus Satan, as supposedly outlined in here. The only difference is that's not quite right because Jehovah is Satan, but the issue is still sovereignty. It's the sovereignty between Lord Enki or or Yahweh Jehovah. It's the sovereignty between Enki and Enlil. The issue on this planet is sovereignty, though. Enlil, Yahweh, wants sovereignty of planet Earth for himself. And Enki, at this point, only wants sovereignty to help save humanity from his brother Enlil, but he still has to step up and be that sovereign being. And truthfully, in Revelation chapter 21, ain't that what indicates is going to happen? In 20, Satan the devil was chained by Michael and Yeshua and all of them. And it said he's chained for like 1,000 years. And then he's released for a little while to do his worst with humanity. And then they lowered a boom on him and he's forever destroyed in the lake of fire. Then we get over here to 21 and it describes an Elohim coming back, literally descending from the sky with New Jerusalem shining like a new city, a base camp. This is the base camp for new earth. And it talks about all he's going to do and how he's going to deal favorably with humanity, and he's going to wipe away their tears, and there will be no more death, no more outcry, no da 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 da. And then he will reign peaceably for 1,000 years with humanity and commune with them. And then John rides out the rest of the book. He tried to bow down and worship the angel. The angel said, no, do not worship me. I'm just a servant just like you or whatever. And then they close out the rest of this book in the platitudes. But yeah, there is going to be a changing of the guard. Yahweh has had control of this planet for 2,500 years and ran us off the rails. And Enki is going to come back and set things straight. Yeah, definitely. If y'all are interested in any of the Buddhic information, I would highly encourage you to go check out Antoine's channel. He's going through the Lotus Sutra on his channel right now. Definitely go show him some love there, y'all, for real. And anybody, if you have a channel and you're doing something positive and spiritual, I mean, I guess if you in there popping pimples and whatever you're doing, we can watch that too or do a trick shots as long as it ain't nothing super negative or raunchy. If you've got a channel, definitely leave a comment, shout it out. We can all go show each other some love here. That's one of the ways we can help each other and learn some things. But for sure, if you got some spiritual stuff going on, I would love to know about it. Go into this video once it uploads, or one of the previous ones, and you can shout out your channel, and I'm not going to be upset about that at all. I know some content creators don't like that. I feel like we should encourage each other. We all just walking each other home. And if you got a piece of the puzzle, don't gatekeep that shit. Let us know. I'm not going to gatekeep. Yeah, go over and show Antoine some love and subscribe. You never know. And even if the Buddhic information, you might be completely unfamiliar with it. Go check it out. It might ring your bell. You never know, you know? You never know. That part. Hey, Dion, how are you? How are you? Hey, Lady Lydia, welcome in, welcome in. Yeah, Lauren, it really is. The names are different because you think about it, they've been on this planet for 445,000 years now. They've worn a lot of different names under a lot of different pantheons, but the energies are similar. And Yahweh has been an SOB in every single pantheon he's ever appeared in. Every one. Enki is always more benevolent, loves humanity, focuses on spirituality and enlightening us and wanting to help us and all the rest of that. And Yahweh just wants service and his barbecue. He wants sacrifice, money, power, control, not necessarily in that order. For real. But yeah, Enlil is the ultimate op. Honestly, Lauren, I can't wait to get to Japan. I look, I do. I want to go and visit like a lot of the sacred. I mean, it's not just Japan. I wrote down in a notebook kind of my bucket list thing, if you will. But the things that I'd like to manifest, and I'm calling in and all of that. When we really get to the point where I'm starting to be able to travel vlog and stuff, I want to visit a lot of the sacred spaces around the planet. Go to the Yellow Temple and go to Angkor Wat and go to all of those places. But I'm sure the energy there is amazing, and like I said, they've been keeping that level of spirituality for thousands of years. I can't even imagine what it would be like to go into those temples, but I surely intend to find out. Now, I ain't climbing up on the side of no mountain to the monasteries that it take 4-pack mules in 2 days and a darn Olympic athlete body to get to, but I will go to the ones that I can access. P. Vader, you say you went to Italy. It was amazing. See, I feel a little differently though about Italy because I know that's Yahweh house. I'm sure it was amazing, and I'm sure the energy is high. I have no desire. I used to want to see like the Sistine Chapel and places like that, but I don't really want to go nowhere near the Vatican because I know that's Enlil's house, and I'm good. But I used to want to, but yeah, the more I know about him, yeah, I'm good. Oh, wow, okay. Honestly, I feel kind of bad because I was in Sarasota and there was a beautiful temple there, and I never did get a chance to go before I left. I'm sure there's probably one in Atlanta too. I just haven't been there yet. Hey, Mary Menchaca. I'm so sorry. You see him everywhere. Oh, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. But I honestly feel like the okay, I might get in trouble for saying this. I got to start being careful since the FBI did come up in our stream the other week. But I have always felt that the Vatican, not only are the people that are there doing their thing, but the more I read and feel and understand and meditate and all the rest, I really feel like if Yahweh is still physically on this planet anywhere, it would be either behind the ice wall or in under the Vatican. I honestly believe that that is one of his physical homes on this planet. Oh, I'm sure it does. There is such a Luciferian energy there, Lauren. You can't help but see it. That's why I say I changed my mind years ago, even before I understood this, that I no longer wanted to go because I could feel that energy was not as good as they see. You watch all the pomp and the circumstance and the red robes and the white robes, and then they got the black pope and the this and the that and all of that frou-frou and all that stuff that they do. You know they know some shit they ain't telling us. They really, really do. They're very into ritual and all that. And I've seen pictures, like I said, never physically been there, but when I saw those pictures of that sanctuary, if you walk into it, oh, it's beautiful. There's a lot of serpentine type energy and stuff there. You can look and see it if you know what you're looking at, but it just looks like old artwork. But from the camera view from the pulpit, looking back over the congregation, the back doors of that sanctuary literally form the head of a viper. It looks like a cobra's head, and it's deliberately intended to do that. That is some Luciferian, serpentine, satanic nonsense right in the Vatican. They ain't even trying to hide it. But humans don't understand that and still just keep bowing and sending their money and bowing and sending their money. Why is it that the Catholic Church is the richest organization on the entire planet? What about the scripture that say you receive freely, give freely? Why does the Catholic Church need to have more money literally than Elon or Bezos? Now they got way too much money too. They didn't get to the point of the ridiculous. But my point is the Catholic Church is the wealthiest religion on the entire planet. Miss Harriet, welcome in. I'm glad that you were able to come in, and blessings to you as well. Have a good evening. Yeah. No, Emily, I was raised Christian, but I am not Christian anymore because I love Yeshua. But the more I learned about Christianity, Christianity actually is against Yeshua. Christianity is the ones who actually unalived. The people that wrote Christianity are the same people that unalived Yeshua. And then, in a very hypocritical irony, they put his name on that religion, but there is nothing Christ-like about Christianity at all. I had to step away from it. Yeah, so I'm a reformed Christian. Oh, absolutely, Joshua Angeles. I believe, in my opinion, now this is just my opinion, but in my opinion, because I gave some thought to it and I actually did some voice notes. I may actually go ahead and upload them and publish them. I was talking to my boyfriend one day, and I was sitting in meditation, and I had some thoughts, and I debated whether I would say it or not. But I have them in WhatsApp still as voice notes, and I might upload them. But in my opinion, I think Paul is the Antichrist. Yeshua said that after he was unalive, that there would come along one who would deceive humanity and lead us lost for thousands of years. And what happened? Right about 100 years after they unalived him, or supposedly unalived him, along comes Paul, and the very first thing he does in Romans is start out his story with a bald-faced lie about how he met up with Yeshua on the road to Damascus and had this miraculous conversion. He had to tell that lie though, because up until that point, Paul had been a bitter persecutor of the Jews. He hated the Jews and everything they stood for. He hated Yeshua even more than he hated the Jews in plural. He hated Yeshua singularly. He told a bald-faced lie that now he's the new driving force, the cornerstone, if you will, of the Christian church. And if you read the stuff that he says in Romans all the way up through Hebrews, he wrote almost all of those books, or the person who wrote them is giving Paul credit for having written them. Basically, he was writing to all the congregations of people that used to follow Yeshua's way. After he was gone, he turned around and sent out letters to all of those people to basically say, y'all ain't shit, you was doing it wrong, and this is how we're going to move forward from here on out. And I'm telling you that this is different, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. And he was laying down church politics and basically telling them people how to be very judgmental and very sacrilegious and very all the rest of that stuff. He was laying down the base of the new religion. You said, why would Paul glorify Jesus in all his letters to the Corinthians? because they had to put that lie together. Half of what they teach Christ to have said, he did not say. Matthew, Mark, and Luke were not written by Matthew, Mark, and Luke. And if they were, that Matthew, Mark, and Luke never met Yeshua. John is the only one of the so-called apostles that has a gospel that actually met Yeshua. So a lot of the stuff that they put in there, they did it for effect to create a narrative. That's why he said all of those things, because he's using Yeshua as a mascot to promote this Yahweh worship. But they still convoluted it because they taught Christians to pray to Jehovah. They made a big deal about Yeshua saying, you must not worship me. You're to worship the Father. So by them deciding that Yeshua was pointing them to worship the Father Yahweh, which is not what he said in John 8, he told them that the Father they was worshiping was the devil. And he said, my Father is not your Father. You don't know my Father. You worshiping your father, the devil. That's the first lie. But he said that, hold on a second. Oh yeah, most Christians are not loving, honey. Why do you think there's so many wars on the planet? And the first thing, if you disagree with their religion, they'll turn around and tell you they're gonna be the first ones to invite you to hell. They're quick to tell you that you're going to hell. That ain't even for them to decide. But they were quick to consign somebody to hell. They quick to turn around and judge somebody, and they turn around and literally have the preachers and the popes and stuff go out and bless the tanks and the bombs when they get ready to go out and do politics, dirty works, to go out there and unalive innocent people, and they steadily praying that God is going to bless them in their military war efforts, when the scriptures say a slave of the Lord don't have to fight. What about Thomas? I haven't really, the Gospel of Thomas it has a lot of good information in it. I don't think Thomas was doing anything necessarily bad, and we will get into the Gospel of Thomas at some point when we get caught up on our reading materials. They tell that whole story about Thomas having doubts, doubting Thomas. He had to see the stigmata from Christ's crucifixion. And like, for real, if you actually identify that this is the Christ, but you don't believe it was him, so you want to stick your hand in the holes from the wounds where he was supposedly crucified, I call him bullshit on that. I'm so sorry. So I don't know whether Thomas was real or not, but I really think that whole story is a lie. That's just something we want to put in there. Joshua, I would appreciate. Yeah, go ahead by all means and subscribe to me. Now, whether or not I'm getting to the point, I'm gonna try to start coming on live more. I have a lot of personal readings that I had to catch up on, so I haven't been on live as much. But I am gonna start trying to come live at least 3 days a week moving forward. You said Paul's 15-day visit to Jerusalem may have been less about fellowship and more about appropriation. Yeah. His later theology diverges sharply from James and Peter's teaching. Exactly. So did Paul hijack the message of Yeshua and recast it into his own gospel of faith? Absolutely, Antoine, because Yeshua said that Peter should have been the one to carry on his ministry, and they unalived Peter, so his brother James would have been the likely choice to be next in line. But Paul came in and, like you say, completely appropriated, came in to familiarize himself with the lingo and get in where he could fit in, and then took over because this religion is appearing to be promoting Yeshua's teachings, but it absolutely is not. It is actually flying 100%, 180 degrees opposite of what Yeshua was teaching. This is the vehicle of Yahweh worship. And Yeshua told them that Yahweh was the devil. That is not the Elohim that he was following, and it is not the one that they should be following. And they got so mad about him saying that they unalived him. And in a great bit of hypocritical irony, After they unalived him, they came back and remixed that lie to say that he was pushing people to worship Yahweh. That's the part that really had me ticked off. Exactly, bro. 100. Hell is not for humans, and that's another lie that but that's about control, fear. They tell people that you got to do this, this, and this, or you're going to hell. Hell was never for humans. It's for Satan. You're right, and his compatriots. Now there will be some humans that go that route, but they'll die long before. It's not no eternal punishment. They're just gonna die because they continue to cling doggedly to that dragon, and when that dragon go down, they're gonna go down with them. Angie Craig, I'm saying this because all Christians, they do not know better. And again, I'm not coming down on people that are truly in ignorance. The reason I'm speaking now is so they can be delivered from ignorance. Most Christians are very sincere because they believe what they was told when they was knee high to a grasshopper and their grandmama plunked their little booties in the seat down there at the church. And this is the lies that they've been spoon fed their whole lives. But anybody that is following the religions of Christianity, all sects of Christianity, Judaism, all sects of Judaism, or Islam, all sects of Islam, any of the Abrahamic religions, they are worshiping Yahweh or a derivative of Yahweh, and Yahweh is Satan the devil. So that is not judgment on somebody else. And if you're offended by that, honey, that's because you need to turn off your worship gene and go check these things out for yourself. And yes, you're going to be angry and hurt and all the rest of that, but it's not a judgment against the people. I'm speaking that to liberate the people, just like Yeshua was trying to liberate the people, and they killed him for it and then put his name in the middle of this lie. Christians are Christians because they love Yeshua, and they do not understand the hypocrisy of following a religion that killed him and then turned around and knit him in the middle of the same lie that he was trying to save them from. That's not a judgment, honey. It's just the truth. Hey, Chawanda Sheree, how are you? Happiness Thursday to you too. I follow Yeshua because Yeshua was not Christian at all. Yeshua talked more like a Buddhist monk than he did a Christian. So he said, if you love me, follow me. If you love me, obey me. He ain't told nobody to stay in league with Christianity or none of the rest. He didn't tell nobody to stay in league with Judaism. He said, if you love me, obey me. And he said that that was critical to us becoming mentally free, which is the whole reason for him having come here. Thank you, crazy kid. Appreciate you. Thank you, Spiritual Sparkle. Appreciate you too. And you're very welcome, Robin Williams Daniels. Yeah, Antoine, like I said, Buddhists don't worship nobody. It's not even a religion for real. People have just kind of, because of the ceremony and why is my stand moving? I bumped something with it. Because of the ritual and ceremony involved in some aspects of Buddhism, I think people see it as a religion, but it's not a religion. Tango, I wouldn't doubt that at all. And here's the thing, though, you have to remember, and Yeshua told them that, and in the gospel, the gospel of Judas, in the apocryphal text, Yeshua acknowledged the fact that the vast majority of his apostles, disciples, all of them, they really didn't get his message fully. They loved him, and to some degree, they were following him, but they really didn't get what he was saying. They were too steeped in the religion of the time. They were too steeped in Yahwism and all of that stuff going around them, and the fear of being politically wrong and being persecuted for being different. And there was a lot of stuff. They just didn't get it. And it was super simple. They just couldn't see it. And Mary, Peter would have been jealous of Mary because Mary was a high mystic herself. She was an ascended master as well. And they were in a society that was very misogynistically turned against women. And Yeshua wasn't about that because, like you say, he was more in love with the spirit and what you can do. He didn't have those limitations, but the Jews of the time did. Women were not allowed to preach, pray, prophesy, or none of the rest. They were property, chattel, much as they still are amongst the Islamic nations today. It was the same. When you pass, where do you go? You step, Peter Wilson, you step out of this avatar and you're energetically here still, and maybe in another dimension, but you ain't really going nowhere. That lie about heaven or hell is, again, that's another propagandistic lie to keep you in check while not delivering anything to you, and keep you in check out of fear of the other outcome. Hebrews 11:40 lets us know that for all the faithful men and women of old, not one of them ever saw their promises from Yahweh fulfilled. Yahweh basically sold them that heaven hell lie to keep them behaving themselves, so they was in fear of going to hell, and in the promise of going to heaven. But Yeshua told them the kingdom of heaven is within you. You ain't going up. You're not flying up nowhere when you leave here. You're still in this dimension. And if you don't believe me, tune in telepathically. When you get to a point where you become clairaudient, tune in, call in some of your ancestors. They'll respond to you. They're still here. They're just not in a physical body no more. Thank you, CCA. I appreciate you. McDon, you can go if you don't like what's being said here. Nobody's holding you here against your will, my love. Religions can coexist. They're not really peacefully coexisting, though, Peter Wilson. Look at the world we live in. They're all, you would think they would peacefully coexist since they're all worshiping the same God, basically. But Judaism came around, they get really solidified about 500 BC. Christianity kicked off about 300 AD, and Islam kicked off around 5 or 600 AD. So they all been around the same basic amount of time, worshiping the same basic deity. So you would think that they would peacefully coexist, and we ain't had a day's peace on this planet ever since they became installed as religions. They can't get along with each other. They can't get along amongst themselves. They've been fighting and killing each other all over this planet ever since they've been worshiping Yahweh, because he's a violent, bloodthirsty God with murder on his mind. The scriptures tell us he's a liar and a manslayer. And the people who worship him become liars and manslayers too. That's why they don't really coexist. They fight each other. They fight over land. They fight over supremacy. They fight over money. They fight over which God is the greatest, and don't even see that they're worshiping the same God. So that's why worshiping a monster makes monsters out of them. That's what Paul Wallace said. America is dying, Vishal, but so is everything else. It ain't just America that's dying. This whole planet is, the scriptures say the whole world is lying in the power of the wicked one. The Anunnaki wars have been going on this planet for hundreds of thousands of years, and they winding down now. And according to the end of that book, once Yahweh is out of the picture, and he's going to be out of the picture, that there will be another reset here. The planet is absolutely not dying, bro. 100. No, it's not. It is not. That global warming thing that's happening, that's a water change that happens ever so often here. Geologists know that this planet has been reset several times. The planet itself is not dying. Now, there's going to be a whole lot of humans that probably wind up being lives lost in the middle of the next reset, but that's part of the reason why Enki said he would come back with this new Jerusalem to help us and all the rest of that, because there will be humans that will be saved out of that. Go back and look at, there's a movie that came out in 2009 called Knowing. Knowing. It starred Nicolas Cage. Go look at that movie. Hollywood is forever hiding the truth in plain sight and calling it entertainment. I believe that movie is way more significant than what the box office numbers indicated. Yeah, Gaia is in, she's in going through labor pains right now. She's ascending, just like we evolutionarily, we are evolving on the fly. Our so-called dormant DNA is no longer dormant. We are evolving within 1 or 2 generations, evolutionary changes that would normally have taken hundreds of thousands of years to accomplish. We are evolving. The planet is evolving. Gaia is literally like in labor pains right now, about to birth something wonderful. And our planet, according to the astrologers and astronomers, our planet is someplace in the galaxy and in the universe that it has never truly been before. It's on a brand new path. We ain't going, it's not dying, my love. We're on the fantastic journey or fantastic voyage right now. Honestly, people that's one of the reasons I don't really get into a lot of that stuff. It's a lot of people that want to talk about the Merkaba and all the rest of that stuff, but they used to use a physical Merkaba, but without understanding the rest of the extraterrestrial technology that was the physical Merkaba, you really can't talk about the energetic Merkaba. People get confused. It's pointless. They worrying about what's happening out there. They want to jump light years ahead spirituality without going through the steps. They're still trying to make it fit within the confines of that broken religion. So, like I said, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, all of them are jacked up. I believe it. Yeah, yesterday did feel like it was only about 10 out, 15 hours long, if that. You seem knowing, yeah. And honestly, bro, 100, I believe that knowing scenario is kind of what we're going to be seeing. And honestly, I think that's where that whole theory of the rapture came from. In some point in the Lost Book of Enki, they said that they understood that at some point before the next 2 shars were to happen, that there would be another cataclysm that was going to come to Earth. They knew that. It's not anything that they're causing, but they can't prevent it either. But what they can do is save a contingency of humans off of the planet in time enough so that humanity won't be destroyed again. That whole thing that they tell at the end of the flood where the rainbow came and Yahweh supposedly felt so sorry that humanity had been destroyed by flood and he wouldn't let that happen again. That's a bald-faced lie. Yahweh was mad as hell when he found out that we survived the flood. It was Isis who felt regret and said that never again would humanity be destroyed like that. And Lord Enki gave Noah the dimensions for the ark because the angel of the creator of all, the messenger of the creator of all, named Galzu, came to Lord Enki and told him that now that basically the creator of all was saying, ain't nobody tell you to come in my house and mess with my creations, but now that you've done this thing, I want humanity to be preserved. This is their home and they will remain here. So Lord Enki did what needed to be done to see to it that we continue to survive. Yahweh came in this Bible book and told a lie that he was the one that did that. He did not. He wanted us all to drown. And he was mad as hell when he found out we didn't all die in the flood. But since Isis and Enki are committed to our physical preservation and our spiritual evolution and education, I believe that they are going to make sure that a contingency of humanity is saved during that next cataclysm. So at the end of the Anunnaki Wars, Enki is going to come and establish rule here and be here with us and commune and all the rest of that. And when the next cataclysm is on its way, those who are peacefully coexisting and able to accept this new way and not following Enlil and not mad because Enlil got destroyed and all the rest of that, the folks that survive all of that that's described in Revelation chapter 20, by the time they get down to 21, they will be saved because they will be communing with Enki, and they can be taken up in those ships so that they're not destroyed when the next cataclysm comes, and then they'll be brought right back here to rebuild new earth after the cataclysm is over with, just like they showed us in that book Knowing. I mean, in the movie Knowing. Let me see here. You're welcome. These little pat phrases, Jesus is the way, but if you don't, too bad you don't understand what that really means. You're saying that in the context of Christianity because they teach y'all to say that and you have no idea what it actually means, but you're absolutely correct. You're welcome. Yeshua is the way, not Jesus, but Yeshua is. Hey, Fa, welcome, welcome. Hey, Derpy and Bird, welcome, welcome. Thank you, Robin Williams Daniels. The theory of the 144,000, honestly, the way I see that, bro, 100, it's obviously not a physical, an actual number. Jehovah's Witnesses teach that it's an actual number. It's not an actual number. It represents completeness because our initial system that Lord Enki and them brought us was a base 12 math. It was not base 10. We've converted to base 10 primarily throughout the planet, but initially we were on base 12 math. So 12 by 12 would be 144. And the 1,000 to the 1,000th degree is basically that day unto the Lord is 1,000 years. Whatever, it's a sign of a large number, a complete number, but it's not a literal number, and I don't think anybody would. I'm not, baby. June Smithfield, you just showed your ignorance because the Bible copied other religions. Other religions didn't copy the Bible, honey. The Bible, Christianity, and this Bible is the newest kid on the block. This Bible didn't even exist before 500 years ago, and the Anunnaki texts have been around for 300,000 years. What are you talking about? You on some Sunday school juvenile nonsense, my love. Now, you welcome to stay here and try to learn something, but you making yourself sound real ignorant with that. I didn't even see what Bushnack home workout said, but that's fine too. Hey, Unique, good to have you in here, but baby, how you? Hey, Ben Sultan, yay. I hope you're doing well on your exams. Yay, yay, yay. Hey, Lunar Beats, amen, bruh or sister, whichever. Because honestly, they get in here and want to argue so very much, but they have no idea. It took me a while to get the confidence to say this stuff. Not that I didn't believe it was true, but I knew people were going to, argue against, okay, Lunar Beats, yay, girl power. Oh, he said something mean. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't see it then, because like I said, I addressed that in that video I did the other day. I'm not even going to answer them. Hey, Real Life TV, welcome, welcome. What happens to Anu? Nothing. He probably still on Nibiru, because if in the Lost Book of Enki, the last time Anu came to Earth, he was noticing they were kind of sad because he saw Enki and Thoth and Ningish and Ninma and all of them, and they were aging very badly because of being here on Earth's atmosphere for too long. That's when their scientists and their medical team kind of was testing the folks that were going back to Nibiru, and they realized that they could not come back to Nibiru now. But Anu is alive and well, because all of the stuff that happened in the Bible was only 2 years ago according to their time. So he ain't went nowhere. Anu is just fine. Tango, yeah, that too. A number of completion, absolutely. I'm scary. It's not scary, honey. Truth is not scary. It's different, but it's not scary. It's only scary if you allow yourself to be so bound by the programming that you can't break free from the programming, because that's the only reason we worship. That's the only reason we're afraid to learn something new, is because we are programmed to worship, and we are in fear of displeasing that dragon, because they done lied to us and told us that if we displease the dragon, we're going to die and go to hell. Well, that's a lie. If you can free your mind enough to get rid of the fear of hell and understand that heaven is a false reward, a false carrot that they're dangling in your face, there's nothing left to be afraid of. Oh yeah, there's all lunar beach. There's multiple realms, and some people get stuck in that trying to. I want to get to the eight. There's 37 dimensions. There's 13 dimensions. There's 15. They probably new dimensions birthing as we speak. But there's levels to this shit. Like McMill say, you ain't gonna just launch yourself up to the seventh dimension. You gonna have to make it up out of three, and then go to four, then five, and so forth and so on. So a lot of those folks that get so stuck in wanting to be so advanced that they're going to these other, they ain't going nowhere. Thoth said the only way out is through. Basically, I mean, he didn't say that. I'm not. Don't quote me as him saying that. But in the Emerald Tablets, he's letting us know that's why he keeps staying here, because he's ascended. He has been granted immortality in his spiritual journey. He don't have to be here no more. But he asked for permission to stay here with the children of Kim, or the sons of man, to help us with our ascension. Hey, Shawty. What's up? What's up? Hey, Sanetti. Glad to have you back in. Oh, Lord. With a name like Big Stanky, I think I can. I'm glad you heard that one. He said he never really liked. Well, Anu wasn't never supposed to be here. Alalu came. Anu wanted the throne on Nibiru. Alalu challenged him for it and lost. So then Alalu came to Earth, and they promised the throne. They promised Earth to Alalu, and then they backed off of that. And truthfully, between the two brothers, after Alalu didn't get Earth, it should have gone to Enki, but Yahweh was Enlil was so in that Lord of the Command thing that he wanted to take Earth, which is greedy as hell, because he was next in line for the throne on Nibiru. If he had took his ass back to Nibiru, he would eventually have been, because I think they didn't even have to wait for the succession for Anu to actually die. At some point, he would have retired, and Enlil would have had the throne on Nibiru, but no, he wanted to come here and run the show on Earth too. So he did. He shot himself in the foot. He hated Earth. He hated humans. He hated all of that. But he stuck around so long here, trying to run shit here, that he could not leave and go back to Nibiru. So then he had to kind of stick around here. Yeah, Adubius. Let me see. Hold on a second. Let me get to these other questions. It's hard for you because of the glimpse you got when you gave your life to Christ. Can't deny the angel besides you 6 weeks. Understand something, Mick. The angels appear to us as we're able to receive it. So if you had that understanding based on your Christian teaching or whatever, then that's what you would have seen. The more you expand your consciousness, your reaction and perception of angels will probably change as well, because it may be even different angels you'll be interacting with at that point. Some angels rock with Yahweh. Some angels rock with Enki. Angel just means messenger. And there's a lot of different angels in a lot of different forms, because they're all extraterrestrial, other dimensional beings that are here on this planet in service to one of these sides or the other. So it is kind of hard, but you'll get there. The more you open your mind, though, the more you'll be able to see. You say, what do I think happens after we die? Oh, do we have to do this nonsense realm again? Yep, absolutely. You're going to keep coming back till you graduate. This is Earth School. And we've been trapped mentally and physically in this realm because of the lies of Yahweh. So the only way for us to graduate this realm is to spiritually ascend. That's the whole point. What I was saying about Thoth sticking with us and bringing us the information through the Emerald Tablets, and then Yeshua coming and teaching us and talking about ascending and all the rest of that. The whole point of that is the only way to escape Earth school is to graduate, to ascend. It ain't got nothing to do with whether you was a good person and you felt it in your heart and you gave your life to Christ and all of that other good stuff they tell you in the church. You're going to keep coming right back here until you figure out what it really is and spiritually ascend. Exactly. They got to get you got to get this right before you get turned loose on another dimension. Why would they allow you on another dimension and you still stuck with the idea that Yahweh is God and that killing is okay and politicking is okay and war is okay? All we would do is go mess up another dimension. You got to mentally ascend your way out of this puzzle. You got to work the puzzle, period. We probably will, Ben Sultan. I know I'm one of these days when the money is flowing and we're doing some projects and that sort of thing. I will try to have meetups and stuff. It's going to be a lot of things that are happening because eventually I want to do some group like Reiki activation type things, some retreats and things like that. And ultimately, I have like a kind of a school program thing that I'd like to be able to implement, like a total immersion type experience. Yeah. Oh wow, Boom Shakalaka was talking noise, so we're gonna see. I hope they behave when they come back. Eric Blackman, I have a lot of different playlists, the things that I talk about on the channel. I've created several playlists. I did a reading of the Emerald Tablets of Thoth and the Compendium of the Emerald Tablets. There's a playlist to that on the channel. I've done the Lost Book of Enki in its entirety. There's a playlist there. I'm just starting the 12th Planet by Zechariah Sitchin, and I've created a playlist for that. I have another playlist called Modern Mystic Loved Ones, which is where I kind of, whatever thoughts come to me in meditation or the dream state or whatever, I sit down sometimes and do some just free talks about that or discussing different scriptures and things as that information came to me. So yeah, I've got multiple playlists there, and I'm also going to start. I've created several playlists with like distance Reiki, um, guided meditations, frequency music, the meditation music, background meditation music. And I will also start linking some of the other videos and things from other content creators, videos that I look at and want to talk about on the channel, or things that were audio books that were beneficial to me along my journey or whatnot. I'll start compiling that playlist and make it a public playlist as well on the channel, so that those who are interested in those books and things can kind of sort through there and find some of the stuff that I was looking at. I hope that helps. Oh, Lunar Beats, I'm glad. Well, you are in the right place, my love. I kept telling people I set a very powerful intention when I made this channel to draw Soul Tribe in, because we got some important stuff to do, child. Y'all just don't know. I can't even get into it right now with you, but yeah, we will. You said who is they, Christina? I'm not sure what you're talking about. So some people come from a different God. Well, not really, not really. The only one that actually God, if you will, is not actually a God. It's Lord Enki. He's an astronaut. He was from planet Nibiru. The actual planet itself was made by the creator of all, who has chosen to remain nameless, does not particularly interact with us, but they terraformed and bioformed this planet in the rough, but there was no intelligent, sentient life forms here. And then Lord Enki came here from Nibiru with his crew, and they genetically modified a hominid that was here and spliced their DNA with our DNA, and we became Homo sapiens sapiens. So the reason we look different is not that we have different gods, it's that the so-called gods or extraterrestrials that are responsible for us, their DNA is different because they come from different places in the cosmos. The Naborians, the Atlanteans, those from Nibiru came from all over the place. They were a very diverse culture. So it would be like here on Earth, we got some folks that are, Asian, some folks are Arab, some folks are Native American, what have you, some folks are this or that. But we're all still human. It was like that with Nibiru too. Here's the thing, James Dalton, that phrase, that come back to God, ain't nobody ask us to come back to God. Lord Enki is not demanding worship from us. That's a completely Yahweh's thing. That's Yahweh all day. The other Anunnaki did not require worship from us. That was only Yahweh that was demanding worship. So it's not that we're coming through other gods or got to find our way back to God or none of the rest of that. And Eric Blackman, the difference between Yahweh and Jesus, Yeshua and Jesus, the reason I say Yeshua the way I do is because in the Bible, they would have us believe that saying Jesus refers to the one who was named Yeshua or Isa. But in actuality, the word Jesus means hail Zeus, which Zeus is another of Yahweh's names. So truthfully, that's another deception that's laced right into Christianity. When they have you praying to Jehovah in Jesus' name, all of that goes right back to Yahweh. And Amen at the end of a prayer is a binding spell to Marduk. You say you'd like a personal invite to the retreats. It's going to be a while and some money before that happens. Quite honestly, I don't know. It's my thought process about what they're going to be has shifted because initially, Robin Williams Daniels, when I first started thinking about the retreats, I thought they were going to be couples retreats based on teaching Tantra. The shift of my teaching has shifted, so I'm not sure what it's going to be at this point. Kind of got to get the money to make it happen first, and then I'll worry a little bit more about it. But yeah, I haven't set an actual schedule yet, Eric Blackman, but I may try to make it either like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday thing or a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I'm not sure how that works. Well, I said they won't let us in a new dimension. I was being a little bit tongue in cheek, Christina. It's not whether they keep us out of it. You can't attain it until you vibrate on that frequency. And it's like the locks, going through locks in a channel of water. You can't just jump up to the top lock from the bottom lock. You literally have to go through each step and be leveled up to go through the final lock. So it's not that they're keeping us from it or not letting us in. We are not vibrationally fit for another dimension until we've raised our frequency enough to be graduated from the previous frequency, from the previous dimension. Bro 100, I haven't read anything about, oh, you said Anu's world was in critical condition. Yes, yes. Nibiru was having serious problems because there were holes in their atmosphere. They were beginning to have drought and famine, all kinds of earthquakes, lightning storms. It was getting bad, bad, bad on Nibiru because that's what people think, that they just came here up and arbitrarily decided to make humans. They did not. They came here for the goal to save their planet, and they worked the gold mines by themselves for over 30,000 years. before they even started trying to make humans. And that still was not an instant process. It took them another 4 or 5 showers to come up with Adam and Eve. So altogether, they were on Earth basically, let me see, close to 100,000 years before before humans ever came into the picture. They were not trying to do that. They literally made us out of desperation. The workers was like, the hell with this. We've been here too long. We ain't getting no nookie. It's hot as hell. You got us out here digging in the hole in the ground in Africa. They were basically royalty. They were from a planet that didn't have slavery. They had technology. They had everything they needed. They were not used to this level of work, and they certainly wasn't used to doing that level of work out in the African heat. And they said, enough is enough already. Make us some workers or we're going home. The hell with the goal or nothing else. We ready to go. They were about to mutiny. And that's when Enki said, out here in my exploration, I did see a hominid that I believe would be compatible with our DNA. And we could splice our DNA and create a being that's intelligent enough that we could train it to read plans and do this and that and be able to do this work for us. And they had a great meeting about it and said, bet, we're going to do this. Yeah. Yeah, McDon, either Joshua or Yehoshua, some folks say. But yeah. Oh, Eric Blackman, I'm glad you're getting some benefit from it. The people who continue to worship Yahweh, they will reincarnate here on this trap to a point, Ben Sultan. But in the final showdown, according to the book of Revelation, once Yahweh is actually dispatched off of this planet and sent into his final exile, whether the lake of fire means eternal confinement for him or actual death, we don't know. That ain't for us to decide, but the scriptures do indicate that he will be permanently removed from interaction with human beings. And those who are still trying to hold on in service to him, they gonna be destroyed. Revelation tells you that a third of the population of earth is going to be destroyed, that the blood would run however many furlongs high in the streets, because they're not gonna want to hear it. You see what happened when they come in here, they talk rude and nasty and talk about how Jesus, God is good and I need to go back to God and this and they're gonna be right. Jesus himself, Yeshua himself, couldn't teach them. He came every day. He showed up for 3 years straight to try to get the Jews on the right track, and they killed him for it. They still didn't want to hear it. What makes you think that humans today are any smarter or any more cooperative than the Jews were 2,500 years ago? They're not. And it wasn't even 2,500 years ago, that was 1,700 years ago. So just like they didn't want to hear it then, they still ain't gonna want to hear it. And the time is gonna come when their jig is up and they're gonna die. That's why it's important to me to start waking people up. And I know the old heads that's my age, the vast majority of them, I cannot talk to about these things. And I don't even try no more. My words are out here to the leaders of the new school, so to speak. The ones who are awake enough, the starseed children that can hear these things and accept it so they can escape the trap. I'm glad you did found the channel too, Eric. Hey, AG, welcome, welcome. Oh, he got a channel. Ain't gonna be he trolling over here. Scarlet Fox, this ain't really conspiracy theory anymore, honey. I used to call myself a conspiracy theorist. I'm just a conspiracist now because the vast majority of the conspiracy theories are actually true. They put that theory stank on it to make us doubt it, and of course people do. Humans are so ignorant and they so stupid and they advanced whatever. They want to be so smart, but they dumb as a box of rocks. When our government tells us that something is a conspiracy theory, we quick to dismiss it. Meanwhile, they steadily using the technology and everything else they get from them so-called theories. They tell us that to keep us from looking. It's literally a game of watch the bouncing ball. They do it in religion, tell you don't use magic, don't use divination, don't do this, don't do that. And meanwhile, the church hierarchy ain't never stopped doing that. They can feed us all kinds of spoon feed us all kinds of nonsense and literal poison by having somebody show up with a white lab coat and a clipboard and a pen. They ain't even got to tell you they a doctor. If they show up looking like a doctor, they can feed us the most ridiculous nonsense anybody ever heard, and billions of people will go along with it. And if you don't believe me, milk, it does a body good. That's a bald-faced lie. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, only if you want diabetes and cancer. Beef is what's for dinner. Yeah, it's what's for heart attack too. But because they told us that, we quick to believe all that stuff. So yeah, we're not on conspiracy theory here, Scarlett. We are unknitting the lies. We're here telling truth. We are truth tellers on this channel. You said you feel like we're the bottom of the barrel of all these Elohim or aliens. No, it's not even a bottom of the barrel. It's a choice between two brothers. This whole thing has been playing out like a nighttime soap opera. This is Dallas. This is literally JR and Bobby. Go back and look at the old Dallas. Back in the day, you had the good twin and the good brother and the bad brother. That's what this is. And their escapades played out the same way. The womanizing, the stealing of property, the stealing of peoples and lands, all of it, it played out the same exact way. It's a nighttime soap opera. We're the one they assigned in the religiosity of all of it. They put all of the heaven and hell and consequence in it. And we got so caught up in that we decided policing ourselves and started buying into that so much that we bought into it at our own demise and expense. We will literally kill people over their lives and their bullshit. They done told us that it's a matter of sovereignty and heaven and hell and all that, and we buy into it so badly that we are literally willing to die on this earth to supposedly secure our spot in a heaven that we can't even prove exists. But who's smart and who's not? All because we're afraid of going to a hell that we can't prove exists. And ain't nothing in the Bible to indicate that that's a real teaching. Even Christian theologians, if they're honest, will tell you that. They just don't want to talk about it because the fear of hell keeps people booties in the seats, in check, and paying their tithes. Ben Sultan, I honestly don't know about that. I would, to my understanding, people continue to reincarnate along the same. They would not devolve in intelligence to be animals and all that other stuff. I think animals go through their own progression of reincarnation, and they may eventually evolve to the point of consciousness to eventually go from the animal state to a more advanced animal and maybe eventually human. But I don't really think that humans are going to devolve and come back as animals. We'd see a whole lot more animals. I mean, we do see some animals behaving in what we think are human mimicking ways, but if it were actually true that humans would devolve in and reincarnate as animals, we see a whole lot more talking animals. I honestly don't think that that's quite the case. Christianity is a cult, for real. It's a cargo cult, as is all of the religions, because that's how they installed it. They come into a place, bring them food, rice, grain, and tell them that we're okay. We're going to come in here now. We're going to do all of this. In exchange for that, you're going to give us this piece of land. It starts out with land for the church. And then once the church is established, the country that sent those people in there, they establish the land for the church. And then they start converting the people to the religion, giving them rice, grain, food, all the rest of that. And the next thing you know, once the church is established, then the military troops can come in and take over the land in an imperialistic land grab. It's imperialism in the name of religion. That's all. Now I'm gonna look at this real Praveen Mohan. I haven't seen his channel, but there's another channel out there, a couple of them. Nos Confunden is another good channel that talks about that. My favorite one is my lunch break. He talks a lot about the like a lot of old buildings and how the who built all of these older structures and how the planet's been reset and things like that. My lunch break and Nos Confunden. Let me see. And I'm gonna write down this real Praveen Mohan. You said if you look around, creation proves that we are overall of the creation and everything. Boom, just like the Bible says we are. You can prove that we ain't over all or nothing. I mean, we are new. We kind of a big deal into the universe, but not enough to be cocky about it. Not really. When you look at some of the things that some of these other animals that can do on the planet, yeah, we have opposable thumbs and we created language and writing, but we wouldn't have done that if it wasn't for Lord Enki. Everything that we are that's so great about us was taught to us and given to us by Lord Enki. Other than that, we'd still be climbing in trees and dragging our knuckles in the ground too. So there ain't no need for us to be cocky about that. I didn't say there wasn't things to see from the Bible, but you need to understand what the Bible is, Peter Wilson. It's not the all-inspired word of some benevolent sky, invisible sky daddy. It is an amalgamated compilation of a lot of other ancient texts that tell the story of the Anunnaki when they came here and their interactions and interactions with humans and exploits amongst each other. It's not what we're told it is. I didn't say you won't see humanity in the Bible. You absolutely gonna see humanity in the Bible, but you're not gonna see the weight of what religion tries to tell you it is in actual humanity. There are several there's Eric Blackman. There are, even within our galaxy, they now understand that there's probably hundreds of planets that we don't know about. But within this quadrant of the cosmos, there are probably over 1,000 galaxies, and most of them, we're a very small galaxy. We really are in the cosmos. We're not a big galaxy at all. That's why I said we're a kind of a big deal in our galaxy, and we probably are in that we haven't seen any other indication that any other beings chose to go to an otherwise uninhabited planet and tamper with the bioforming and the natural evolutionary process that was happening on that planet, and chose to jump the evolutionary timeline to create a sentient life form by tampering with the creator of all's handiwork. The Anunnaki did something kind of different, and folks was rolling up from all over the cosmos to see us once they heard about it. But yeah, there are plenty of other galaxies that have their own suns. Most of those suns are larger than our sun. Our sun is not a huge star. It really isn't. Good, McDon. We don't need to be drinking milk or eating breakfast for real. Yeah, unique. He did. He said we have the potential to be more than they were because of what they did. Excuse me. Hey, Billy Willoughby. I'm doing well. How are you? Yep. Unique sheep, for example, that was brought here specifically to be um, a food crop. They were overfishing the rivers and over hunting the forest when they first got here, and they brought in several grains, and they brought in sheep to domesticate specifically to be a food crop for Earth. But sheep came from Nibiru. You said, what does it mean when you can command things in your dream, like you're super powerful in your dream for existence? It means you're having some lucid dreaming. Pay attention to what your dreams are telling you. It may be more important than you know. Yeah. You may be being shown a foreshadowing of things to come. I used to dream all the time about seeing like space. At the time I was kind of not liking to fly, but I would start out the dream thinking I'm getting on a train, and somehow or other I wound up getting kind of herded into a plane. And then as it takes off, I'm looking around and seeing the sky literally full of spacecraft. Like all the time. I've dreamt about being like extraterrestrial life forms landing here on Earth, and it was so weird. And one of them, they were called variegated vesicating vegetation. It looked like walking, talking broccoli stalks, but when they land, they would basically morph into the form of whatever the first sentient life form that they encountered, and they kind of mirrored that personality too. So if you were friendly and cooperative, then you would have a much different experience with that life form than if you decided you was afraid and wanted to kill it. If you tried to kill it, it wasn't going to go good for you. And I was running around trying to explain to people that they literally just wanted to interact with us, that there was no need to, be chopping it up and all of that. And of course, people didn't want to listen to me, and they created a huge problem for themselves. But that's a whole other story. Excuse me. Hey, Gnostic Warrior. Nice to meet you. Have you in here this evening? With my current understanding, do I believe in horoscopes? Is that a distraction, or is there real knowledge of self in the horoscope? The horoscope, astrology, and astronomy as we know it is a system that was given us by Lord Enki. Now, a lot of people don't understand it, and I'm not saying that everything you get out of a horoscope you should pay attention to, because some of them have become very commercial just for the purpose of being in there, and they say some of anything. But actual astrology can give you some insights as to what's going on in your life and what to look at and what's upcoming. I'm not super into astrology because it is time consuming and confusing, and I got way enough on my plate without trying to follow all of that as well. But I wouldn't completely dismiss it either, because I do know that it is there for a reason. The people that put those things into place learned and observed over thousands of years certain tendencies and all, and it tends to be way more relevant and resonant than you would think. Hey, Ange Clary, how are you? Hey, Dylan. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Dylan Jordan, but okay, whatever. The constellations are not random. If anything in the heavens were random, we wouldn't be here, because it would have banged into each other and destroyed everything by now. It's not random, Slow-mo. Exactly. The three magi were astrologers. Hey, Daisy Duke A, greetings. Dylan, if you're here to learn, you can stay and all of that. But if you keep saying random stuff that sound like you've been on your imperial drinks, you'll be made invisible in here. But it's not random, is my point, Slow-mo. They all have very predictable orbits, very trackable orbits, just like Earth does, just like Nibiru does, just like all of them do. It is not random at all. Now, truthfully, If you think it's random, then you're basically saying you don't believe that there is intelligent design in this universe, or you don't believe in a creator of all. I'm not atheist at all. I just don't believe in the Yahweh lie. But obviously, somebody did put this planet here and bioformed it and terraformed it. They wouldn't have had nothing to modify if a divine being had not put something here. And they even the Atlanteans, Lord Enki acknowledges you run to I'm hooked up just fine with Yeshua love. And if you come in here proselytizing, you'll be removed. That's the last word I'm gonna say to you, because I won't there they go, they got you. Yeah. Well, actually, I think they were just wanting to slow mo you on your way out of here too, because you talking foolishness. Yeah, they were bringing the gold to him, Antoine, just out of respect and tribute to him, because he wasn't broke. Yeshua wasn't broke. His uncle was a very wealthy shipping magnate, and Mary Magdalene had money too. They weren't broke. He was dressed so fly till they literally gambled to see who was gonna get his coat when they unalived him. So he was not broke, and he wasn't wearing no rags. He was, like I said, he was blinged out, fly. You think about it, Unique, in order for him to leave Jerusalem at the age of 12 and go through the East and do all of that spiritual study, he spent 18 years in spiritual study. A broke man couldn't do that. That's why most people don't ascend, because they don't have the luxury of sitting in meditation nowhere for 1 year, much less 18. That's why I said Buddha, Yeshua, and Muhammad, peace be upon him, they had some very advanced spiritual experiences because they had a very unique set of circumstances. They had the luxury of being able to go on long sabbaticals and sit in meditation. That's one of the reasons why I'm inclined to share, because I didn't have the money, but I had a very dear friend. When my life fell apart, instead of me having to go back and do that rebuild thing one more time from a jacked up way that just keeps resulting in it crashing and burning again, I understood that it was spirit telling me to stop. And I literally went into about a 5 year hermit mode where I spent most of the time by myself and most of my days in meditation and study. But that's a very specific set of life circumstances that allow that to happen. But when it does happen, it allows for a great spiritual advancement. Yeah, they bring him gold. They brought him gold, but he was saying it was blinged out. They brought him gold though, like I said, out of respect for knowing who he was. You got to remember, these mystics and astrologers and all the rest of that, they knew the prophecies had said that he was coming. That's why there's certain things that he did and said to deliberately fulfill some of the prophecies. And if you think about it along the aspect, and get out of the Sky Daddy story for a minute, and let's consider, we're going to expand our mind. I don't need nobody telling me this ain't in the Bible directly, because what I'm about to say, I know for a fact is not directly in print. I'm asking us to do a mental exercise now and expand our mind for a little bit. Let's go with the theory, as we've talked about before, that he's potentially an incarnation of Thoth at best, but certainly either way, whether he's an actual incarnation of Thoth or not, let's work with the premise that he is the son of Lord Enki, not Enlil. That's the part the Bible tells us that he was over there rocking with Yahweh. Let's get away from that and understand that in the Bible, for a moment, whether you agree with it or not, we're going to just take it on this for this moment, that in the Bible where it says, "This is my son, the beloved, whom I have approved. Listen to him," that voice speaking out of the heavens was Lord Enki, and that Yeshua was the biological son of Lord Enki whether he was the biological son of Lord Enki with Mary, or whether he was the biological son of Lord Enki as an incarnation of Thoth. Let's just agree for a moment that he was the biological son of Lord Enki. Why would he ever be allowed to be broke if he was sent here on a mission to be artificially have his consciousness transferred into a zygote and have that zygote impregnated into a being on earth so that he could come here as the light of the world, the word, the logos, for the specific purpose of setting the Jews straight, of enlightening the Jews to free them from the Yahweh trap. Why would he ever be allowed to be broke? They Enki came here to find gold and found it. So gold wasn't nothing for Yeshua to have. They didn't particularly give a flip. Niborians, the Atlanteans didn't give a damn about gold like we do. We look at it as currency and blinged out for jewelry and all the rest of that. It was a shiny rock that they needed to pulverize and throw up in their atmosphere to save their planet. They didn't give a shit about no gold. Oh yeah, bro, 100. If you read the scripture, that's exactly what it was. Gabriel came to Zechariah and Elizabeth and told them that they was going to have God's baby by way of John. And then 6 months into Elizabeth's pregnancy, he came to Mary and told her the same thing. The messenger of God came to them. Gabriel came to them and told them ahead of time what was about to happen. And just like they knew it, they were in the Essene community. They had been looking for the Christ child to come, for the Messiah. Even the Jews knew the prophecy and knew that the Christ child would be coming. Do please go, and I did put it in, it's in the community tab. There's a link there to Christ Returns, Speaks His Truth, and to Anna, grandmother of Jesus. Those are channeled works, but it goes into a discussion of that, because they were saying that, she wasn't it wasn't a virgin birth. I think he was like her 8th or 9th child, something like that. But in the community, they all had gone, hey Trio Blue, when they knew that the Christ child was going to be coming in their midst, there were several couples that decided to become celibate for a period until Spirit revealed to them who was going to be carrying the Christ child. And once Mary and Joseph were selected, then they all understood that in that community. It wasn't like it was no grand surprise that they didn't know he was coming. The Jews just were slow on the take, but the Essenes knew full well they had been awaiting this birth. And they knew he was going to be an advanced being, an ascended master that was being in their midst, that it was an honor to have him in their midst, and that the parents that were bringing him through as a child would be blessed. It's just like today when they be looking for the next Dalai Lama, and when they find where the Dalai has reincarnated, that family is considered blessed. It's no different with Yeshua. If they knew that Lord Enki was sending a teacher in the midst of the Jews, they were looking for him. I'm telling you what I believe, Trio Blue. Hey, warrior of God. Again, why would you have to understand, Nicole Davis? The scriptures say God came in the form of man, but it also tells us that man is made in the form of God. We've been sold a story of what God means based on what religion would have you believe. But that word that's translated God, it's a mistranslation in the scriptures. The Hebrew word that is translated as God is Elohim or El Shaddai. It does not mean an invisible, all-powerful being that has no beginning and no end and all. That's not what that word means. Elohim simply means powerful ones. And it's referring to the Anunnaki, those who to earth from heaven came. They were astronauts. They were not all powerful, non corporeal beings that if you happen to look at them, you will die. Obviously, that's not true, because how did the Nephilim come here? Those women would have instantly combusted if that was actually true, that actually looking at one of them would kill you. Then humans would never have been able to mate with so called angels without exploding. We've been given a lie, a very element. They literally sold us religion like we were 5-year-old children with cognitive impairments. I don't want to call it short bus, but short bus. No, absolutely not, BM. And he said he was not God. He said that he was not to be worshiped. The Jews said he was God. He never told nobody he was God. He is a powerful one. He is El Shaddai, a son of the powerful ones. But again, religion, Christianity, the deliberate mistranslation of the Bible has that word God all up in arms with us to try to convince us that it means something it does not mean. He's a messenger. He's, again, you're stuck on the God term. There is no God such as you're trying to make it be. The one that is actually the type of God that we're sold in the Bible is what we would call the creator of all, the one that showed up in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That's as far as God shows up in that Bible. By the time we get to Genesis chapter 2, when the Lord and the Lord God was in the Garden of Eden, that's the Anunnaki. The whole Bible, as we've been sold it, based on that all powerful, all knowing, all that God, that's a lie that Yahweh instilled in people to keep them in fear and obedience. Hold on, let me see what's going on here. What kind of a gift? What kind of gift is when I say, for instance, you go to a meeting and your inner spirit told you to grab a book and you turn a page and it's exactly what the meeting is about? What kind of gift is that? That's called being tapped into your intuition. You're being guided and you're enough out of your own way to be guided and not and accepting the fact that you're being guided. See, there's some people out there that's still so stuck in ignorance, Nicole, that they'll say, "Oh, that's a kooky coincidence," and laugh it off. They won't understand that they're being guided through the veil. But when you get to a point that you're working with your spirit team and you're willing to acknowledge that you're working with your spirit team and can appreciate that, the more you do it, the more it'll happen. But yeah, that's the gift of your clairaudience, clairsentience, and uh, cooperating with your intuition. Right, Tango. He did. He called himself the Son of Man, and so did Thoth. That's another reason why I believe, because Thoth was known as the Son of Man, and Yahweh called himself the Son of Man. Thoth was the light of the world. Yahweh was the light of the world. Thoth was the Word. Yahweh was the Word. I mean Yeshua, not Yahweh. Yeshua was the Word. But yeah, he didn't call himself a God, and he told them he was not to be worshipped, and they turned around and wanted to put him in that lie and worship him anyway. Trio Blue, yeah, yeah. The history of Yahweh is very complex, but again, and we use that, we're still slinging that term God, because of what they've told us to believe. But he initially came here off of a spaceship from Nibiru and clunked down here and then paraded around, insisted on portraying himself as a God. He said we were never to know that they're not gods, but they're not gods. They are extraterrestrial, off planet, otherworld astronauts. The Anunnaki, the term Anunnaki BM means those who to earth from the heavens came. They are the sky people. They are beings from another planet At the far end of our solar system, there's another planet out there called Nibiru. It's past Pluto. And they settled on that planet and they came here to Earth in search of gold. Exactly, Unique. They'll have you thinking your gifts are demonic. You be scared of everything. And truthfully, it's literally just your spiritual skill set coming into being. But they don't want you to know that. They don't want you to wake up and use that. Because we call them spiritual gifts, but truthfully, they're just skills that all of us have the potential to some degree or other to have. And the extent to which those gifts or skills open to us is dependent on how open-minded we are and how we are coming in our vibration, how we're ascending. The more we wake up mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all of that in the matrix, once we escape the programming that Yahweh put into place, the more our gifts open up to us. Bro 100, yeah, they say crystals are demonic, but the Levitical priests had 12 stones on their breastplate, and they carried two divination tools in their breastplate as part of their whole thing. But they tell us that how is a rock out of the ground? You claim God made the heavens and the earth and everything in it, but but the rocks that come out the ground is demonic. Everything that could actually help us, Christianity and politics pretty much warn us against, and all the rest of that. It's crazy the way that happens. They sitting up, they don't want us with too much with herbs. No, go get the synthetic fake medicine and stuff. Still don't want you to go take spiritual baths. Don't want you to do none of the rest of that stuff. Don't really want to push meditation. Not everything that could help us spiritually, they poo-poo it and look down on it. Daisy Duke, yeah, he was definitely a prophet, an ascended master, truthfully. Hey, Miss Garcia. Trio Blue, I do my research all over the place. I read books, I watch articles, I listen to audio books, I look at podcasts, I look at articles that I'm led to. It depends on where spirit sends me to. I get information in meditation, and then shortly after that, my intuition will wind up between the algorithm and my intuition. I will see something in meditation. I may not understand why it's so, but I have a conviction in my spirit that what I saw in meditation is the real thing. And then within a few days, I'll be led to an article or a book or a podcast or a teacher or somewhere online or around that will lead me to information. It will give me more information about that and confirm either the medical, scientific, religion, what psychological, whatever explanation of why what I saw is true. Hey, Elsbieta. Hey, Valerie. Because a talent was there. Apparently, that was their the delineation of money, Nicole, like a shekel or the pound or the city or the yen or whatever, and wherever they was at, it was called a talent. BM, we find information everywhere. If you looking for one holy book to be the truth, you're going to stay ignorant and stay lost, because that's why mankind is lost now, because the preachers, the pastors, and the imams have told them that they can only get truth out of one book. Do you know that when they dug the books up, first off, this isn't one book. This is 66 separate texts that were written by about 20 or 30 different people. And they put it all together and declared this book holy. But when they dug them 66 books up out the ground, they dug up a few hundred others along with them. They just chose not to make those available to us. And they told us that it's because they decided that these were the ones that was holy, and all the rest of it, we can just ignore that. But the truth of the matter is, those other ones did not suit the narrative that they wanted to paint and they told us more truth than what they wanted us to know. So they declared those books off limits and told us that these are the only ones that we need. And they do that with all the religions. So if you're looking for all of your information to come out of one approved holy book, you're going to stay lost and blind, brother or sister or whoever. Yeah. Hey, Lottie, Haley. Exactly. Crystals carry a lot of information and a lot of energy. And some of them are here to literally help support our systems. They're here to help balance the land, the water, help balance our physical bodies. They send information. They're conductors. Crystals are here to serve humanity. And guess what? The Anunnaki didn't put them here. The creator of all did. So truthfully, when Christianity decides that crystals are evil, they're saying that the creator of this planet, they're the ones that are genuinely defying God's creations. They've declared crystals as evil, but the vast majority of crystals did not come from off planet. They came from right here and were put here for our use by the creator of all. How does one get out of their own way, Daisy? Do open your mind and learn like this, and don't be so quick to discount it. Like BM was asking questions, but then he's looking to narrow. He or she is looking to try to find out where the one approved holy book is, so that we can verify all of this out of some checklist book that's approved by a church. They're never going to give you that book because they don't want you to know the truth, and we have to learn and accept that. Exactly, Niana, you're right. Hey, girl. Yeah, our teeth are crystals. And truthfully, water is a crystal. We are 60% crystal. Water is a liquid crystal. And our bodies are 60% water. We have behind our heart, there's another heart, so to speak, called a diamond core God cell. It's an energetic point for the most part, but yeah, you have no idea how much crystalline technology, if you will, is on this planet and in us. You doing the right thing though, Daisy. The best way to get out of your own way is to be open-minded enough to do exactly what we're doing right now. Stop and listen. It may sound weird to you at first, but don't be so quick to dismiss something, especially if the thing you're using to shut down something new is only the approved information. I used to get so upset. That was one of the things that I fell out with in school when it was time to start doing the whole college thing. You trying to write something or do a paper or art, whatever, and you can only use accredited, approved sources to debate something. Now, wait a minute. If I've got an original thought that flies in the face of what you're saying that I can't present that thought because you haven't decided to approve where the source came from. Where is the critical thinking in that? They literally are telling you you cannot employ critical thinking and still be on their team. I don't want no parts of no team like that, especially when it comes down to my spirituality and my consciousness ascension. Because I know they telling a lie. They're not giving us all the facts. And if you can only get your information from what they tell you is approved to get your information from, you gonna stay stuck. Bound in your own ignorance, bound in their ignorance and your own ignorance for choosing to go along with it. Just because generations of others went along with it, you feel duty bound to stay on that train of lost? Mm-mm. It's like that movie, the series Lost. How long did them fools stay on that island and it migrated from here to where to every damn where for how many seasons? Look, get me up off of here. No, we're not doing that. And that's kind of where I am now. Once Yeshua started showing me these things, I didn't want to just keep holding on to the lie. I started realizing, wait a minute. They're not telling us the truth, and they've known this stuff for at least 100 years, and they still stuck on stupid. I don't have to follow that because somebody else been following it. It's time to do something different. There you go, Bonnie. That's right. We stay winning. Because here's the thing. We don't have to get it all right and be 100% right and all the rest of that. Our hearts are in the right place. Yeshua, Thoth, Enki is connecting with us and gradually helping us steer our boat to a different place because we don't have the fear of hell and heaven hanging over our heads anymore. It's only people that's still stuck in that juvenile notion of believing in heaven and hell that's scared to reach out there and learn something new. As long as your heart is in the right place and you are reaching to expand your consciousness and spirituality, what you got to worry about? I'm not saying go follow all kinds of craziness because we do have to find our way to something reasonable, but this is reasonable because it's not like I'm just making this stuff up out of thin air. I'm literally referencing books that are at a minimum 100 years old and going into the ancient text. They're older than this. This is the newest kid on the block. So when I go to the Sumerian text and the Babylonian text and the Akkadian text and the Anunnaki text, those are the very oldest texts that they're aware of up to this point on this planet. And what they're saying isn't contradicting the scriptures, it's giving us a more expansive context to help us understand what this really is, other than the jazzed up lie that they hung on it. Oh, I don't have on lapis today, but I took it off just because I got on amethyst and purple tiger's eye and all of that today. But yeah, I keep lapis on me quite a lot as well, Antoine. Absolutely, Valerie Blakely. They, like I said, we got crystals everywhere on this planet. But again, the good Christian folk got us scared of crystals. They go to show you how ignorant they are. Everything that could help you, they tell you is evil, so you can stay stuck. You can't free yourself from the again, and that's especially when I look at the cleansing and stuff, and they'll try to tell you, oh, it ain't no such thing as spell work, and you don't need this and you don't need that. You better go clean your energy, because I'm telling you, all that evil eye and crap that they be throwing, when a person that's involved in spirituality tells you you need to go do a spiritual cleanse or a spiritual bath, and then a Christian want to argue and buck against it, take the advice of the person that's trying to help you, because they're telling you what people out there doing. Just because a Christian chooses not to believe it don't mean it ain't happening. They stay stuck in their own ignorance, and the people that's into that stuff is telling you it's happening and telling you how to protect yourself and how to clear your energy field with the things that were naturally put here by God to help do those things and help clear your energy field. And then the Christians come along and say, oh no, that's wrong, it's evil, so you can keep all that energy. That lets you know that they're serving a dragon that want to feed off your energy like the vampire that he is. Do not want you to clear your energy field, because then you will get them up out your space. Exactly. Smudging is a real thing. And they talk about restful odors, certain scents attract benevolent energies, and certain scents repel negative energies and entities. And that's the main reason why the religious folk don't want you using them. Because if you clear your energy field, you get rid of the demons, which means you get rid of them. They can't keep their hooks in you because you have cleansed your space. Oh, the church is full of witches. That's what people don't understand. I told when every time I make that comment about how they have Christians participating in black magic and binding spells, and they don't even know it. It always be somebody that pop up in here that don't like what I'm saying, but it's the absolute truth. All of the holidays is tied up in pagan worship, usually involves some kind of blood sacrifice. And that whole Easter thing ain't nothing but a satanic ritual. It's a curse. It's a satanic blood ritual with a featuring a portrayal of an act of cannibalism tied up with a fertility ritual on the end of it. I know that's right, Tango. I love that song. Love me some Bob Marley. It truthfully is, if you really think about it, because again, people want to sit there and say that religion, Christianity is holy, but it was not formed by somebody that was holy. Constantine was a pagan, a sun worshiper, and he allowed all kinds of other pagan belief systems and all of that to be mashed up together into one amalgamated religion that incorporates a lot of magic and sorcery and spell work and all the rest of that. They tell all of them stories about Moses and the copper serpent and the thing, and him and the staff, and the snakes eating up the staff, and the turning the water into blood, and all of those things that they talk about in the scriptures as so-called miracles. That's sorcery, witchcraft. Yeah. Honestly, Nicole, I hear what you're saying, and it's still a lot of folks in the spiritual community that get caught up in the color thing, and again, don't believe it's a racist agenda. But I would suggest to you at this point to understand, yes, to some degree, you will see the reason you see. Exactly, Tango. It was a political move. It ain't had nothing to do with love for Yeshua. It was completely a political move. But as far as you see a proliferation, excuse me, of fair skin as opposed to darker skin, is because in this day and time, the fairer skinned people, the underdog, sold the psychological lie of the concept of minority having something to do with skin color in order to get to the top of the pile politically. So, a lot of what you see out there making the power moves, as far as the powers that were and all of this stuff being perpetrated, appears to be done primarily by fairer skinned people. But at the end of the day, it really has absolutely nothing to do with skin color. It's about economy at this point. It's the powers that be or powers that were against the broke folk. Poor white folks is just as persecuted and just as targeted and just as being used as batteries asleep in the matrix as poor black folks. It really is. It has nothing to do with skin color at all. They want us because they feed off of our energy. They do not want us to awaken and ascend, because one who is connected to source is more powerful than millions who are not. So they've known for a long time that this massive awakening was going to happen. Why do you think they put fluoride in the water? Why do you think that they poo-pooed all of the Eastern religions and traditions and meditation and all of that came in? Why do you think that they industrialized medicine and started pushing sugar and all of those things into our food sources? Not only did they get rich off of that, but all of those things were intentionally done to keep us from ascending. That fluoride in the water thing, that because they've proven it really doesn't prevent cavities anywhere, and most of the world doesn't do that. It was done here in the land of In God We Trust to prevent people from awakening, because it calcifies the pineal gland. They know what they're doing. Sugar keeps us so dumbed down. It's literally keeping us high. We just don't realize it's a high, but it keeps us so zombified on a sugar high that it's damn near impossible to spiritually connect the way you want to if you're as sugar addicted as they attempt to have you in this particular sector of the matrix. And that's done intentionally. And you sure enough ain't gonna ascend in consciousness if you still petty enough to be running around talking about racist skin color stuff. That's why I get so mad with all of the Dr. Umars and all the rest of them out there still hollering, making racial slurs and stuff, and hating on black women and white women and all. Just It's ignorant. That kind of ignorant energy will keep us stuck and dumb. You said it's writing in the church that you see many people and they listen to many of them, but God bless you for you believe in him. You say that amen stuff if you want to, Arcus. You're binding yourself to Amun Ra and to the dragon Yahweh. We don't do that here, but that's you welcome to. If you ain't ready to accept that yet, keep doing you. Good night, McDon. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Good night. Good night. What about Chinese mythology, cinema stick? Again, that's another word I don't like. They weaponize the word minority, and they've also psychologically weaponized the word mythology. We need to stop using that word because most of what they've told us is mythology is just ancient history. Why is it that Christianity is real and everything else is a myth? That part. There's probably, according to, obviously some of the, especially with the dynasties and stuff, some of them were more literal and careful in their record keeping than others. They start political agendas, start kind of um, aggrandizing men later on. But all of the ancient writings from everywhere on this planet, everywhere, tell the story of sky people who came here and were in and amongst humanity. In the Vedic traditions, if you listen to like the story of Hinduism, and they talk about them flying around in Vimanas and all the rest of that, and Shiva is there, and Brahma is there, and all of that. It's not mythology. It is all connected because they were all over the planet. Everywhere you find intelligent humans, there was Anunnaki behind it in one way or another. Because as they started branching out and forming, they were the ones that created the original cities. The Anunnaki built them. We didn't. They literally pulled us out the forest, out the trees somewhere, merged their DNA with us so we would become intelligent, put us in a breeding program. And once we started breeding enough to have sufficient numbers, they built cities and put us in them. Excuse me, and taught us reading and writing and math and psychology. Everything that we know and everything that we are, we got from the Anunnaki. It is all connected. It's not a myth. Let me see. He said my fast is working. Awesome. That's well. Look, I was worried about that too because every time I would get, and honestly, like I said, I felt kind of bad because in order for me to be able to stick with it, I thought I was just going to jump in and go hardcore and blah, blah, blah. But it's been such an issue that I had to go into it and start with like a couple of 48-hour fasts and then get to a 72 and just kind of work my way down, down, down until I'm into it further. But I do start to feel a shift in the energy. I'm still at that point. I'm so insulin resistant. I'm still unpacking glucose, so I'm have like these waves of sweating and all that other kind of stuff. But I was worried about where my thoughts were going to go. It should be interesting. That's one of the reasons I wanted to kind of do it publicly too and make you aware because as I'm recording these, we'll see where the thought processes go. But it should be interesting. You said in order to produce justice, you have to guarantee that no one is mistreated in spite of his heroic history based off color. Nicole Davis, that's one of the reasons I said it, or horrific, yeah. If we get rid of religion, if people actually could ascend to the point that they voluntarily turn off their worship gene, they would almost surely automatically go to one of the Enkiite philosophies, like swap out Enlilite religion for an Enkiite philosophy. the world would become a much better place and racism would virtually vanish overnight. Buddhists don't care what color you are. They really don't. You said it's supposed to be some beings coming in 2026. Lamb. Oh, hey, Lamb, how are you? I hope they come by. I'm telling you, I want to go aboard craft. I want to go on one of the med beds and get these knees together. That's what I want. I'm telling you, Inky, what's up? Come get a sister. But can I explain the book of Deuteronomy 28 of the blessings and the curses, how the writings actually happened to our people? Are you off base? Hold on a minute. Let me look here. Let me look at see if I can catch up, and then we're going to Deuteronomy. When you live in age, I believe that too, Antoine, about your psychic abilities being stronger. Wow. Cool, bro. 100. I'm ready. Honestly, no. Judah Scott, we are not the Most High's crowning creation because we are not the creation of the Most High. The Anunnaki came here and tampered with the Most High's creation to make us. The Most High did not make us. Lord Enki made us. That's part of the lie that they tell. Unfortunately, I'm sure we're not the Most High's crowning creation. Look at how many planetary systems out there. We can't even get out of our solar system, out of our little tiny galaxy. There's millions of galaxies out there. I seriously doubt we're the be all and end all of God's creation. That is part of humanity's ignorant arrogance to think that we're the crowning creation of the Most High when we're a teeny little galaxy in a teeny little quadrant of the universe. How arrogant do we have to be to think that we're the be all and end all of God's creation? Like, really? Nah, I doubt that. Let me see. I gotta keep it at least Tango. I gotta keep my fast somewhat physical though. I've limited a lot of things, even on the days that I'm kind of being forced to eat to try to keep my energy sane. And eventually I will get down to where I'm doing 7 days at a time. I'm just easing into it to make it more doable. Because I realized that a 40-day fast in this day and time in modern times, I can't go into the wilderness. It's kind of difficult. I still cook for my roommate and all that stuff, and you know how that goes. Uh, because Daisy, the reason I keep reading the Bible, the more I know about it, because I'm reading it and understanding it differently now. When I read it from that limited place, I had a very different understanding of the scriptures. Now that I see what I'm actually reading and understand it from a different place, it's a whole different book now, and it makes a lot more sense now. Because there's nothing wrong with the text well, I'm not that keen on the New Testament, but it still gives us some insight as to what Christianity did and why, so we can kind of sidestep it. But I look at Revelation because I still feel like that is part of the end of the story. It was given to us for a reason. But there's a lot of good information in there if you actually know what you're looking at. What's up, Lord Kelvin? Now back to this question. We got a question here, if I can find it. We're going to Deuteronomy chapter 28. It's a chapter of the blessing and the curses. Hold on. Because if it's what I think it is, Yahweh was laying down the Mosaic law for these people. And that's what I'm saying. Again, the whole idea of all these curses, that's magic. That is literally throwing spell work on people. This is a curse, and that's a curse, and this is a curse, and that's a curse. And yeah, blessings for obedience, curses for disobedience. This is more of the nature of Yahweh. Leviticus, from Exodus on through the end of Deuteronomy, a lot of that is laying down the Mosaic law. We ain't got to get into all of it tonight, but that was one of the things that I was saying. In that you will also find, they talk about cursed is this one, and cursed is that one, and cursed is this one, and cursed is that one, but they also got rules for the slave and the slave owner, ways that women can be basically abused, and it's okay under the laws of Yahweh. This is showing you the kind of nasty ass God he is. And people read all of that, and the preachers explain it away and got us still going, it's a beautiful thing. And we've accepted to worship this nasty behind dragon of a monster because we were told it's a good thing. No, it ain't. This is what he was telling the nation of Israel. This is the ways that they had to do what they needed to do to. First of all, it's an awful lot of rules for them to jump in line to even serve this daggone beast anyway, that's telling them he's a god. But he's laying out all of these particular rules. It lets you know how demanding he is in the first place. He literally pulled them out of the nation of Egypt and said, you're going to serve me or I'm going to kill you all right here at the foot of this mountain. There's no take backsies now. You said you were going to do it, so here we go. And then he spends 3 whole books laying out to them all of the little picayune things that they have to do to please him. And anywhere that they deviate from this, they're cursed. Out of here with that. Uh-oh. Let me see. We are going to eventually get into Chariots of the Gods too, or actually, I may put that in one of the playlists because the movie is available free with ads on YouTube, so I might just put a link to that instead of going through the actual book. Nakia, it's not even a specific book, but the Gnostic teachings teach us that Yahweh, one of his names is Yaldabaoth, and that he was a dragon um, in that context. He would have been one of the miscreations of Barbelo. The Gnostic system is a little more confusing, as is to some degree Kabbalah, but they still go way further back, and I think there's more truth in them than lie. But yeah, Yaldabaoth is one of Yahweh's other names. Yeah. Oh, bro, 100. I didn't even see what you wrote. Absolutely, the chariots in the Bible were spacecraft. They talk about this one went up and was taken up in the heavens, and the this and the that. And honestly, there was, I can't remember if it was Apollo 13, one of the Apollo missions. One of the engineers on that thing said that they used that description in Ezekiel of the chariot with the wheel and all that to solve one of their lift issues on one of the Apollo missions. It was 100% those are spacecraft. The Vimanas in the Hindu tradition are spacecraft. Huff Paranormal. You said he's speaking to extraterrestrial beings as Arthur Medium. I don't know about that. Honestly, Lamb, I steer clear of most folks that declare themselves paranormal investigators because a lot of them wind up playing with demons. And I'm just not even fooling with them like that. I'm not saying this one is or isn't. I'm just telling you why I don't mess with them. When they're out there hanging around graveyards and all that kind of stuff, they literally invite demons into their world. So at some point, you don't know whether you getting information from a being that is positively focused or one that's just out there playing with them because they've put themselves in that space to play that game. So I just don't mess with them. Oh, Nicole, honestly, you said, why do a complete saying thou shalt not kill, yet there's killing everywhere? And you don't have to say don't no disrespect to anybody's religion, because their religions are disrespectful. All of the Abrahamic religions are disrespectful as hell. They disrespect women, they disrespect each other, they disrespect themselves. And you're absolutely correct. They say in that book, a slave of the Lord does not need to fight, and they keep fighting. It says thou shalt not kill, and they killing all the time. So you don't have to hinge on, I don't want to be disrespectful. Why? Why would you keep giving respect to something that ain't giving no respect to itself or to nobody else? They are disrespectful as hell. You don't owe them no respect. You really don't. We just keep telling that because they've told us, oh, it's a sacrilege. Oh, that's blasphemy. Oh, you a hypocrite. Those are fancy words they make up so that they can do and say whatever they want, and you can't say shit about it. You don't owe them that level of respect, because they're disrespectful. Yahweh don't, you don't owe Yahweh no respect because he's disrespectful. I used to be that same way, bowing and scraping. Well, I didn't want to be mad, and I didn't want to get, offend him. The hell with Yahweh. He ain't God. He's a liar that said he's God, but he's not God. I don't owe him shit because he hates us. He tried to kill us a couple of different times. He don't like us. Now, I have much love and respect for Enki. Yahweh can go kick rocks with with open toe shoes and lemon juice for all I care. You said it was on the news. What about the extraterrestrial, like the planetary events? Look, they ain't gonna have no choice but to admit to open contact soon, because you know it's going to happen. It can't help but happen. Like, really, how many hundreds of years now have people been reporting seeing UFOs, talking about seeing strange looking beings, talking about being abducted, seeing strange things in the night sky? And for the last 150 years, since we've had mass communication as far as the media, they've been telling that lie about weather balloons. We got a whole bunch of stray weather balloons all over this planet. They keep popping up every damn where, and the government swear up and down it's always weather balloons instead of telling the truth. It's time for full disclosure. It's time for them to stop lying to us in our face, because a lot of the beings, they've been working, but one of the reasons the governments don't want to tell the truth is because they are aware of that, and they've been working behind the scenes with some of those extraplanetary beings that do not have our good interest at heart. So they hide and deny. Meanwhile, they steadily reverse engineering all the technology and using this and that and cooperating with them. But like he said, the ones that do have our best interests at heart are on their way back, Lamb. They coming back. And we ain't going to be able to deny them, because they're going to be everywhere in the broad open daylight. Yeah, they absolutely, Antoine. They are celestial chariots, spacecraft. Exactly. They gonna make their presence known, and I for one am all for it. I am all for it. I hope to see that within my lifetime for sure. Because it's time for the nonsense to stop. We in the age of Aquarius now. Yahweh done had control of this crap show for too long now. Lord of the Flies. Yeah. That's all right. He gonna be Lord of the Abyss in a minute, cause Revelation 20. I'm trying to tell you, when they show up, here's the thing. People talking about they was looking for Yeshua to return. He said, in my Father's house there are many abodes. There I go to prepare a place for you. He didn't say he was coming back physically, but he said, I will not leave you as orphans. I'll send Holy Spirit to you as a helper. And then he gave John the vision, according to the book of Revelation, where him and Michael and the four horsemen and all his buddies come back and kick ass, and they dump Y'all, they clean house and get Yahweh and all his miscreants. They round them up, and all the people that still want to doggedly follow him and hold on to him, they quickly dispatch all of them. It's unfortunate, but guess what? Some folks just will not be reformed. And if that's the case, according to Revelation, they're going to be. And then after they done clean house, the ones who want to act like somebody are welcome to stay here with Lord Inky, and he's going to be the new sheriff in town that's going to rule peaceably, because we do still need direction, especially to unknit some of these lies and help to right some of the wrongs that have been done on this planet. And then it's going to be a much more spiritually focused reign, because Lord Inky, the dweller from the hall, from the halls of Amenti, like Unique says, he is all about assisting with our spiritual ascension. Why do you think he gave us science and astronomy and astrology and philosophy and all of those things? He's really about us becoming our best self. Like you say, Yahweh wanted to keep us dumbed down and enslaved. A true scientist, a real creator, Lord Inky wants us to reach our fullest potential. He said we have the potential to be even greater than them. And that's when Yahweh went the hell off and insisted that our telomeres be capped and we be lied to and everything else to make sure we would never get to be greater than them. Lord Inky, like any good parent, wants us to fly. He wants to see what we can do. And he said he's going to come back here and help straighten this program out and help us get to that point. Hey, Nana D's, or Nana D's Life, how are you? Welcome in, welcome in. You coming in at the tail end. I'm just waiting. I'm surprised that the freaks ain't came out yet. They'll be here shortly though. You know how it go. And we will be wrapping up soon, because we've been at it for a minute and I'm on 17% anyway. So But yeah, I firmly believe that once full disclosure happens, I really think they're gonna get to the end of the book sooner rather than later. That's why I said I feel a sense of urgency. And again, it may not happen in my lifetime. We don't know. They've been trying to second guess that forever. And the Christian program that I grew up in as a child was very much trying to pinpoint when the return would be. A lot of Christianity has been very heavily focused on that. And none of us know the exact day and hour, but I paid attention to the history that they made us learn, and I saw some patterns happening that indicate to me that it's actually happening. Maybe not in the physical, but it is happening energetically. And like I say, it really, really looked like it started kicking off about 150 years ago. About 175 at this point now. But I really, really believe that Yeshua is back and he's on the move. And I honestly believe that we are coming up on that portion of Revelation that's going to see the end of the final skirmish in the Anunnaki Wars. Because that's what that describes. People don't understand that. But now that I'm reading the scriptures from a different vantage point, Revelation is not some big, hairy, scary thing. It's describing the final skirmish in the Anunnaki Wars. Lamb, you saying how do you build something on a faulty foundation when you start out saying that you're God's and you're not? Misleading foundation, no trust. But again, you have to understand, and he discusses it in the Lost Book, Inky, to a large extent, Inky's hands were tied. He was literally outvoted on a lot of this stuff. He wanted full disclosure. He was not for telling this lie. They had to make intelligent beings to dig the gold, but that whole we're never gonna tell them we're not gods and they can't see our faces and you're gonna put a worship gene in them and all that. That was all Enlil, Yahweh. Inky did it because the big bosses back on Nibiru went for Enlil's lie, and they agreed to allow Enlil to have his way. But Enki didn't like it. It bothered his conscience, like really bothered his conscience, so much so that he had a scribe write a whole book to set the record straight, because he felt like they might be judged for having done that at some point in time. He understood that he was having an existential crisis because they could be potentially messing with fate. They were messing with the creator of all's creation, and what they were doing may not be morally right. So if, to me, I'm willing to allow someone who is man enough to say, we did something here and we might not have done the right thing, but I've learned from my mistakes, and I want to come in and help right the wrong with love and transparency. I'm going to get rid of the ones that really don't want to act right. We're going to clean house a little bit, and then I want to help right this wrong. I'm willing to follow a leader like that all day, because he's admitting he's not a god. He's not perfect. They did the wrong thing. His brother really did the wrong thing. And over thousands of years, this has become a shit show that has run completely off the rails, and he wants to clean house and give us a fair new start. Why wouldn't I follow that? It says the meek will inherit the earth. Yeah, it talks about the ones who did not follow the dragon, who were not out there fighting and all on Yahweh demon time. The ones that actually get that survive the end of that are the meek ones. It says that they beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks, and they will learn war no more. Oh, hey, Miss Yates. I'm so glad. I'm glad that reading resonated with you. See, y'all, it's taking me a while to get to them, but she's saying it's worth the wait. So I'm still working on them for you. Good night, Shawanda Sheree. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I'm glad that you joined us. Yeah. It must have been, Antoine. They've been very, very quiet. Very quiet. I've enjoyed this for real. You said the old dictionary version, just like the old gay version. Yeah. You think when we see clusters of shooting stars, could a cosmic war be happening? Maybe. Could be. I actually saw a fleet of ships in the night sky years ago. At first, I thought they were stars until I looked up. That was before my eyes got super bad. And I looked up, and it looked like everywhere, instead of being one dot, it was like two. They looked like segmented ants or something, and they were in a formation around a larger being. And over the course of the night, then they started thinning out. It was getting fewer in number and fewer in number. It went from about 150, look, maybe or so vessels, until by the just before sunrise, it was down to about 10 or so, maybe around one central thing. And of course, once the sun rose, I couldn't see them anymore. But yeah, it could be the because I mean, again, we think this has all been playing out over a long period of time. According to Nibiru's time, the flood happened 2 years ago, not even a full 2 years ago, on according to Nibiru time. It's a long time to us because we don't live very long, but they live hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years. So yeah, the cosmic wars are still happening. Again, Lamb, but you're trying to lump everybody together, saying you don't trust them once they start out lying, saying at their gods, and they're not, that they're starting a faulty foundation. They didn't say that they're gods. Enlil did, and Marduk did. He insisted that everybody went along with that. And the Galactic Council said, well, if you're never going to tell them, then this is what you can go along with. But Inky wasn't for that. At some point, being as how they're the ones who actually, again, and I get what you're saying, but to a degree, that's like a petulant child saying that because they found out that mommy and daddy aren't perfect, that they don't have to listen to them at all. You don't trust them because they started out lying. No, Enlil started out lying, and he's going to be deposed. He's going to be destroyed and get or moved up off of here. Whether they sent him to the realm that Enoch was talking about, who knows? But he will no longer be a threat on Earth. And from that point, it will be a whole different paradigm with people that was not on that type of time. So why wouldn't you trust them? You're going to have to trust somebody, because we are trapped here in that lie. You ain't going nowhere else, and so you might as well cooperate. You're gonna have to choose. Remember, Moses and Abraham said, choose this day whom you'll serve. They just chose wrong, but eventually you're still gonna have to make a choice. It's kind of like voting for whatever, but they're telling you it's the new sheriff in town, that this is a more trustworthy sheriff. So if you still want to stand there in petulance and stomp your foot about what you're not going to trust, I don't know what to tell you, because if that's the program that's happening and you refuse to align with it, then you might be out of here with the ones that want to follow Yahweh. That's up to you. Hey, Achukwa, good morning. Good morning. Oh, great. Glad to have you here from Kenya. Ball or die, you on your way up out of here. We don't play with that kind of foolishness. Good night, Arcus, and thank you for joining us. Hey, Yanlin. Oh yeah, Nicole. I don't doubt it. I don't know, drink, drive, die. You might want to look it up. You can type angel number 135 and look it right on up in Google, and it'll give you any number. Be about 5 or 6 sites that do angel numbers, and they'll tell you the biblical number, the angel number, the twin flame number. You can look that up. I'm not gonna be sidetracked with that right now during this live. I'm not even sure what that means. Hey Nina, how are you? And welcome. Glad to have you in here. I do tarot. I'm just not doing it here. Honestly, it ain't, well, I ain't gonna say there isn't any bad juju, Kobe. There is, but it's on its way out. That can only affect you to a degree. If you're new to spirituality, what should you do, or where should you start? Wherever spirit tells you to start. And if it feels good here, stay here. If it feels good somewhere else, go where it feels good. Yes, there is a suit of cards called of the cups. Those are dealing with the emotions. They correspond to the hearts in a regular card deck. But yeah, I'm just in the evenings. I discuss spirituality, law of attraction, the ancient texts, the Bible, things like that. I don't really do tarot in the evening, but I do tarot on the channel. Oh, you know what? I never felt that Star Trek was just plain science fiction. I knew whoever got the inspiration for that show had to have gotten it from somewhere. Again, ever since television been out, they've been hiding the truth in plain sight and calling it entertainment for 100 years now. Oh, Nina, we all gonna be going through it, baby. Trust me. And to some degree, it gets worse before it gets better, especially for the chosen who are here on a mission, who are closing up karmic cycles, who are doing generational work for themselves and their ancestors. There's a lot of that going on. There are a lot of old souls here that are on the fighting the big boss level, so to speak, and it gets big boss level. We done been through this a bunch of times and we got taken out the game, and each time we keep coming back and leveling up a little bit more and coming back and leveling up a little bit more. And there's a lot of us that dearly planned to be here for this particular time. Goodbye, Hoffman. Goodbye. You're gonna be out of here in a minute, trust me. You want to call me a moron, but you so ignorant, you ain't got nothing better to do than that. You're on your way out. I can go on and handle it because they're taking too long. There we go. See what I mean? Here they come. Ignorance. A grown person that ain't got nothing better to do than just type moron over and over in the thing. You were asking questions about my beliefs. It just depends on what the question was. They will boot you if you spam too much or if you seem like you're being disrespectful. But see, Avi, if you have a question, place it in here and I'll see if I can answer it. But they do that because I don't have to entertain foolishness. Now, if it's a genuine question, you certainly can ask a real question. But if you were posing the question in such a way that it seemed like you were just trolling and on one, oh, they'll get rid of you quick before I can even see the question. I recommend, if you're interested in tarot, read for yourself first for a while, teach yourself and read for yourself. And then the spirit wants you to advance further into something else, then you'll be moved to do that. I had no intention of becoming a tarot reader when I did. It was for my own healing because I was raised in a religious household, so I was kind of afraid of tarot at first. But in my spiritual journey, I reached a point where spirit led me to a couple of particular tarot readers, and then I fell in love with it myself and continued on. But truthfully, when in order to root the readings with light and positivity and with the divine, you have to be that. You have to be that. And I know what you're saying because there's some readers out there, and I'm not trying to cast aspersions on anybody because there's a space in the tarot community for a lot of different types of readers. I didn't want to be one of them that's reading for the spiritually immature that's still on that demon time, who doing the spell work, who baby daddy cheating, and who over at the job trying to do this, and this one trying to whoop my ass, and that one is over there sending by this. That's way more drama than I want in my life. I got that drama out my life, and I don't want to wade through that nasty energy every day. The sisters and brothers that are able to do that, bless them. But truthfully, that lets me know the reason that they can see that energy and read it every day like that so accurately is probably because that's what they came through and they're still in it. But I was led to tarot at a different point in my spiritual journey and beginning to ascend. And I'm not saying I didn't never have none of that because they have read some stuff that resonated for me more than I cared to. But it's things that's in my rearview mirror and I don't keep stirring in that. I allowed myself to heal from it and move on so I don't have to wade in that overly much. When I see it come up in a reading for somebody, I can address it, but I address it from a different point of view because I'm addressing it from the standpoint of we're healing it or have healed it. We're not going to stay on demon time in my tarot readings because I'm trying to see how spirit going to get us to the other side. But that comes from where I'm at in my energy. See what I'm saying? Somebody that's not doing the spiritual work, not cleansing their energy. Oh, for sure, if they're not cleansing their energy, they're going to become a real raggedy, toxic tarot reader because you can't read all of that raggedy energy day in and day out and day in and day out and not cleanse your energy and keep your mind right. It will affect you and your readings. So, in order to do that, you really have to be for real serious about your spiritual journey. Ooh, you say you frying fish and making tea. Awesome, awesome. Um, I will say to you, if you don't know how to cleanse your energy, you're not ready to start doing tarot yet. And again, I would not recommend you try to read for nobody else first until you are very comfortable with reading for yourself, and then maybe read for some friends and family around you. And I know tarot has become popular, and everybody want to grab a deck and think they're gonna get paid. I've been reading tarot for 5 years, and I'm not getting paid. Eventually, I probably will open up more of a calendar and do that because I'm a very good tarot reader. But don't do it for the money. Please don't think you're going to do it for the money because you'll get worn out and burned out before you ever get to the money if you're doing it for the money. But you can start cleaning your energy energetically through prayer and meditation, through fasting, spiritual baths, um, salt cleanses. Look it up. Look at frequency music. There's a lot of different ways you can start cleaning your energy, but for sure you want to have like salt baths and stuff in there. Hey, Just Jane. Yeah, I have. I've rested up. I still got some personal readings that I got to do. I'm catching up, but I wanted to get on tonight because, yeah, I've been away for too long. I get to where I be missing y'all now, feeling guilty because I needed to get on in here. Good night and rest easy to you too. You on your way out too, Antoine? I think we're going to wrap it up here. We're at 11:10 in the evening, and I don't want to burn out nobody else. The mods have been amazing again, but I do know that this is the witching hour. They gonna be on their way and in a minute. You know how they do. So we will be back on tomorrow. Is Friday. I'm gonna try to get on through the weekend. I'm gonna have to make more of a consistent schedule, but for right now, since I haven't been on during the week, I'm gonna try to get caught up on the rest of those personal readings, and maybe we'll be back on tomorrow night as well for the spiritual talks. But I will be uploading some information even if I don't, so be on the lookout for some kind of content coming from me one way or the other. But I am gonna scoot off here now, so thank you, thank you, thank you to all who hung with me. And yeah, we are gonna you say you've been waiting to be divorced? Yeah. Have a great evening, the rest of you all. I got to go too. Yeah, I'm going to get on up out of here as well. Thank you, Spiritual Sparkles, Valerie Blakely. Good night to all of you. For any ones that are waiting on the readings, like I said, I'm still cranking them out. So you check your inboxes. Some more should be coming that way in the morning. Have a beautiful evening, and I'll see you all either tomorrow or Saturday. Take care. I love you. Namaste.